All right, everyone, we should be live on both YouTube and Twitch. I'm joined by the kitty here, of course. Can I even see her? Yeah, you can see the kitty. She's asleep at the moment. Hee. Just a moment here. By the way, I am not actually late to my streams. When I do this, I don't schedule them. I basically just set everything up and then I get ready and do the thing. By the way, Amazing Atheist fans may at some point show up. That would be funny. I think he threatened to do that the other day in retaliation, actually, because we clanked on his stream. I'm not concerned about it, but it would be fucking funny. Kevin Street, Andy666, logs of pee-pee poo-poo, clank. That's what I'm talking about. Anyway, we will be going live with Jen Psaki. Now, supposedly it's scheduled for about 17 minutes from now, but you never actually know. It could be an hour and 17 minutes. We have no way of knowing. So until then, I'll do some super chats. By the way, approaching 2,000 followers actually on Twitch, which is hilarious because I never expected to bother competing there. And by the way, I think that makes you a Twitch affiliate at some point. Angle this down slightly. Max headroom. So we will be talking about Jen Psaki, but first and foremost, let us talk about a couple of other things that are of note. First and foremost, Ann Coulter. Let me bring her tweet up, actually, if I can. Over to the side. Let me see. Where was Ann Coulter's tweet? You gotta hear this. It's hilarious. And then we gotta talk about the Biden leak. Oh boy. Here's Ann Coulter 20 hours ago. Trump repeatedly demanded that we bring our soldiers home, but only President Biden had the balls to do it. Here are a few of Trump's wuss, BS, I mean masterful tweets. Now, the funny part is, first and foremost, a lot of them don't refer to Afghanistan. They refer to Iraq. These are different countries, but Adam Coulter is, too stupid to understand that. Secondly, it's funny that Ann Coulter would be talking about balls. Biden doesn't have any balls. And if Ann Coulter had any balls and wasn't just throwing Trump under the bus, just like she glommed onto his presidency in order to sell books, Ann Coulter would actually point out, hey, Biden kept us in for several additional months, and now we know that he provably lied. That is that as of yesterday, late yesterday, didn't see it until a few hours ago, we have confirmation of what I initially predicted. This is, by the way, not a surprise to me. Biden pressured Ghani to create perception Taliban weren't winning. So the Taliban was winning. It was pushing forward. But remember what he said yesterday and what he's said now for almost a month. Biden said to people, well, come on, man. We thought that the Afghan army had a lid on things. Everything was perfectly fine. And so there were no problems. We were going to withdraw and it'd be nice and clean. We never expected Afghanistan to fall. But now it turns out that on a phone call actually with Ghani months ago, he expressed doubt about the Afghan government and openly pressured him to create the perception that the Taliban was not advancing for propagandistic purposes. By the way, isn't this a little bit bizarre that the president of the United States would act in such a manner? Not strange with Biden, but I mean under a normal presidency. One that was not dysfunctional. J-Dog, make a cooking channel and call it Steaks, Eggs, and Hamburgers 666. Yeah, I'll do occasional cooking videos or something. I'm still a beginner when it comes to most recipes. I can cook a nice steak, marinated, everything. By the way, how many people are waiting actually to, oh, then yeah, that's the opera tab, never mind. How many people are waiting to listen to Jen Psaki? 410. How many people are tuned in live right now here? Over 700. Again, not a surprise. It won't be as hopping as the Biden streams, because like with Biden up there, you never know what he's going to do. Like he might say some weird off-the-wall shit. We all know what Jen Psaki is going to say. Something, it's Trump's fault. Something, Biden's great. He got us out of Afghanistan. Oh, hey, Peter Ducey. Hey, little boy. Blah, blah, blah. AP5Y C40 FPV. Hi, Sticks. I'm spending $10 to ask what you think of the AMC squeeze and what you think about the aftermath of the event. Should it go the way the retailer investors have full conviction will happen? I'm not invested in AMC, so I don't know. All of the chats are gone. Brett Werdersheim. Hey, Razor, when's the next ramp? By the way, you know that I'm not Razor Fist because I like pineapple on pizza and I don't take my steak extra well done. I don't know why he does. It's very, very sad. I should cook him a medium rare steak and he'll love it and then he'll be converted. Scott Steiner, the world's greatest ring announcer. Could you explain Carl Jung's occult theories? Ghost manifest with psychic energy. Collective unconscious makes psychic energy and God resides there. Yeah, I don't think that God resides in anyone's conscious. I'm apatheistic. To be clear, I don't care whether there's a deity or any cosmic force of creation or anything like that. So I don't really delve into that side of the occult because it's just not as much of interest to me as like folklore and stuff like that. Djibouti Lebowski. I used to be really pro-Bernie, but damn, Trump presidency was so enlightening. Thanks, Sticks, for all your wisdom. Oh, you're very welcome. Norn Iron John. Ann Coulter has sold the bleep out for clicks. When are you going on Tim Pool? Tim Pool only has live audience sort of things, so I'd have to actually go to his studio. I can't do that till I'm back in the United States. By the way, we have over 3 BLUs, Biden loser units. That's 300 people per BLU. That's the amount that actually pay attention to what Biden is saying at any given time. And we've got more than twice as many people watching this as are waiting for Jen Psaki. So it's going to be fun to ridicule. Oh yeah, and it's live this time. Christian Blunt, thoughts on 2 FDA officials stepping down over the approval of the vaccine? No, I mean, standing on principle, it's a good thing. Neck Beardian, no leprosy today. Sticks, at what point do you think true patriots will finally take matters into their own hands? Are Americans too docile now? No, they're not. They're just long-suffering and patient. Here's what I've told people. If your first recourse when something pisses you off is to grab a gun, that's a little bit of a problem too. It's like, you know, that's not leadership capabilities. It's certainly not self-awareness. You should exhaust all peaceful and preferably lawful possibilities before you even conceive of that. This is what a lot of leftoids don't understand. They're like, well, hang the landlords, bring out the guillotine. Yeah, the little old lady who's renting out her cottage is really an enemy of the state. HM, hey Sticks, want to donate to the leprosy fund? Ha 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 ha. Yeah, that was great. Last night was off the chain because first we had, you know, the leprosy people showed up, and then the amazing atheist got clanked on, and he's still salty about it now. Like, I guess his fans' new meme about me is that I have a large Twitter block list. Like, because some people are like, well, you blocked me on Twitter. Well, yeah, I mean, leftoids that are following the amazing atheist unironically, there's probably a few of them that have been blocked. But if you keep spamming on everything that I post, it's like that's a little bit different from me saying my fans should say clank on your live stream, dude. That's not distracting you. You could have just fucking ignored it. Just like I'm going to ignore any amazing atheist fans if they show up on one of my streams. Be an adult. Well, no, don't be an adult. His problem is that he became his parents. Dirty Eddie. Why do you think atheists and skeptics like DM2525, TJ, and Sam Harris became social justice warriors and Dem partisans? They were always social justice warriors. They just pretended not to be to grift. They pretended not to want censorship. Thomas Schumann. Yuri Bezmenov was right. Yeah, he's seeming like he's sort of a dude who knew what was going on. Mr. Benito Mussolini, Sticks, did you seriously make like $1,000 before the Biden stream even started yesterday? I don't know because YouTube doesn't update the revenue statistics till like 24 hours later. I don't know how much I made. I like making money though. I'm an unabashed capitalist, so I don't see any problem with it. Unlike the leftoids, they pretend that making money is a bad thing. They want other people to pay them, but they don't want to have to do anything for it. That's why they like UBI. Howard Rourke, hey Sticks, longtime lurker. Thanks for doing these streams and daily videos. Any thoughts on war with China? Clank. There won't be a war with China unless it ends in nukes. So it's unlikely to happen. There should be a trade war with China though. Norn Iron John. Why is slow mode on Sticks? Do you think this Biden call transcript will gain any traction? Love from Canuckistan. Oh, you're Canadian? My apologies. Slow mode is on because when you have several thousand people watching, as there are bound to be, you can't even keep up with the super chats otherwise. As far as the call transcript, it should. But I mean, we'll see if anyone asks Jen Psaki about it. That'll be kind of a bellwether on whether the legacy media is even going to bring it up. I wouldn't be optimistic. Most people never know it occurred regardless. Because, I mean, nobody's watching their stream. They got less than 600 people are waiting to watch the press secretary of the goddamn White House. About a third of the people that are watching this live stream. Buck Biden, did you know that a lightning struck the White House when Biden was making a speech on Afghan airport bombing? Look it up. Yeah, I think I saw something like that. Sort of reminded me of the time that lightning struck a crane next to Mecca and then it came down and killed 100 people. One-eyed, with Taliban cruelty widely circulating at the moment, I wonder if people who are caught up in the white supremacy version of satanic panic are getting a good look at real threats and dangers. Rock on. Most of them have cognitive dissonance and will literally never admit that they were ever wrong. Born again. Sticks, how old are you? Seems like you're wise beyond your years. Thanks for the insight. I am 33. I'm only a couple of years younger than the amazing atheist, but he looks like a talentless Rob Zombie, and, you know, I barely have any gray hairs. I don't even count the ones that are there because I'm like, well, he might be a mutant or something like that. Want to be cult leader? Sticks, I love you. Join me. Oh, you've got Marshall Applewhite there. I remember the first time that I smoked weed many, many years ago, I actually watched Marshall Applewhite's address thing there, the suicide monologue that he did. I thought it was hilarious. I was sitting there, I could barely breathe. I was laughing so hard. Axua, if you're still using Opera browser, know that it is owned by West Taiwan. Switch over to Vivaldi. It's developed by the original Opera developers. That's good to know. Yeah, I know that it's part owned by China, but it does work better than all of the other browsers. Though the one piece of Chinese technology that wasn't bootstrapped. Xerinx, did you see the Daily Mail article that implied the Afghanistan issue was intentional? It may very well be. You know, Biden just wants to drone people. Intoxicating games. My wife and I want to grow a garden in our backyard, but have never grown anything before. Any good beginner tips? Plants we should start with? Kitchen herbs are always easy. You can do container gardening if you don't want to plow anything up. Make sure to mulch heavily. Lasagna gardening is the way to go. Look up lasagna gardening or hugel culture, Hugel culture with a K. Both of those are good. I've employed both and they do work. Yellow Renows, sticks, hot, steamy logs burning in my house today. Now, there were a lot of logs on the Amazing Atheists stream the other day. Lynn Lorenko, do you think Biden asking the powers that be in Afghanistan to make it seem like the Taliban are not advancing is an impeachable offense? No, it's not impeachable because it's mind games. What it is it should be that the public will compare that to what he has openly stated multiple times with regards to troop readiness among the Afghan forces and realize it was a lie. Joe Biden lied to the nation. Objectively, this is an admission of that. This is an objective lie. It's not up for debate. It's not subjective. It's not like, well, you know, there's some wiggle words. This is pretty explicit. He told the American people he expected the Afghans to fight more. This is one of his biggest selling points is, well, man, I expected them to fight. They let me down, basically. But the boys let me down, that we armed. Well, he knew that wasn't the case. He knew that the Taliban was beating the shit out of the Afghan forces anyway. So this proves that Biden lied. Objectively, we can see the lie. We can compare his words literally last night that I live streamed and reacted to then, and I pointed out part of this lie last night. We can compare that with the leaked transcripts. I would be very surprised, though, if Psaki gets a single question about it. Dirty Eddie, do you think the atheist skeptic community will be SJWs or leftists in 5 to 10 years, or will they find a new grift when wokeism becomes passé? They'll try to, but they'll be too old by then. You know, when your whole grift is like, hey, I'm young and edgy, or hey, I'm young and cute, and then you're no longer, you know, young or either, it's not going to go well for them. Standing on no principles is a bad place to be. The Arcadian 300, hey, have you listened to China Uncensored? Very interesting insight onto CCP propaganda. No, I haven't. I just go to Xinhua News if I want to see Chinese propaganda. There's plenty of it. My second nephew finally caught a live stream live. I like these. Oh, there'll be a lot more. House been farting, still waiting for Psaki to circle back. Yeah, I can't wait until she uses that line. 3 minutes out, by the way, supposedly. 2,000 people watching me, 800 people waiting for the White House's official stream. I wouldn't be surprised if our viewership is higher than theirs throughout most of the stream too. But I mean, with Biden, it's one thing because, you know, people tune in because they're like, well, he'll say something crazy. And so a lot of people, even like conservatives, tune into that. World War II patch guy, serious question. Where do you buy your shirts? eBay mostly. This one I think is, no, this is not one of the vintage ones. This is one of the new Hawaiians. But you can get these Paradise Found brand on eBay. I can't get them shipped here without paying like $70 a shirt. So I had to make do with these ones that were available from a local site, like was it bowl.com, I think it was. But anyway, yes, for people who are still waiting, as we all are for Jen Psaki, 2 minutes out supposedly, but we'll see if she sticks to the schedule. Ann Coulter blaming Trump for warmongering and praising Joe Biden, which should give you an indicator of Joe Biden's average fan base. I'm literally going to ignore that because I'm assuming it's the leprosy people again. I don't have anything expected in the mail, so fuck it. Yeah, basically, Ann Coulter's saying that Biden ended the war in Afghanistan, which it's not over. So, you know. And then we also have the revelation, actually, that Joe Biden explicitly knew, literally, objectively, observably knew that the things that he was saying with regards to the Afghan government and their troop readiness was not true. We can now tell that objectively. I should probably go see that. Fuck it. See what's up. It's all right.
What's there?
There's a package for the neighbor, but they already retrieved it.
How do you know?
Because I talked to the person out there.
I thought I did something, but I wasn't sure.
Yeah, no, I opened the door, but she had already given it to the neighbor. There was a package for our neighbor, but she already retrieved it, so it doesn't matter. It was not the leprosy people again. Let's see, super chats. The Everyday Witch. I'm beginning to believe that this mess had to happen in order for people to wake up. Some of the best things created have come out of piles of poo. Yeah, just look at manure in your garden. Well, supposedly Jen Psaki should be live anytime. We'll see how many minutes it takes. She's usually an hour late or something like that. But yes, we'll talk about Ann Coulter being a grifter because she was praising Biden for ending the war in Afghanistan, which he didn't. Actually, Trump did. That was very, very funny. She's quite a fair-weathered friend. And here's the thing. Trump, unfortunately, had a tendency as president to surround himself with two kinds of people. People who would tell him he was great because they wanted to sell a product like Lindell, who has been completely disgraced, as I predicted he would. And people like Coulter, who would gather around him like moths to a flame to bask in that in order to grift for political or social reasons. A guy under a bridge. Anyone notice people like Pelosi haven't been in the spotlight recently? Wonder why they aren't strongly speaking out. Oh wait, wrong POTUS. Yeah, they're not speaking out against Biden because if he decides to wage war, drone warfare, it's okay. His are drones of diversity and tolerance. Not Bob Saget. Sticks, random question. What is your favorite car? Did you have a favorite dream car growing up? My childhood dream car is a 69 Mustang Fastback. No, I was never huge into cars. I have an Avalon, a last gen, like late 2000s era Avalon. And it is really great. Like the sound quality inside of it is fantastic. You can get it really revving. It's got some cushion for the pushing, all leather interior and stuff. It's like an Avalon X something, or I don't know. The epic windmill. Do you think that new voting rights bill will pass in the Senate? Nope. I think it'll be thankfully stopped. Hopefully Chucky's bride won't be 2 hours late again. Yeah. By the way, a lot of people think that I'm wrong about Lindell, Mike Lindell, the MyPillow guy. I'm right about him. He grifted onto the QAnon bullshit to sell his product. That's all he did. He's a grifter. Doesn't matter if his pillows are good. I don't care about his story about, well, I was smoking crack, but then I pulled myself up by the bootstraps. It's wonderful. You became wealthy. You became successful. That's perfectly great. But that doesn't mean that you're not grifting now. He appears to say, well, Trump will be reinstated in August. Well, it's September now. Trump's not in the White House now, is he? It was never going to happen because it's Nostradamus horse shit. It's a bunch of kooky bullshit that people grift onto in the internet era in order to sell a product. I'm surprised more corporations haven't gotten the idea to do the same. Jacob Givich, what did you OD on? Spice, the freebase JWH 018 powder, actually. Not pleasant. Don't do synthetics. Splatter, how much longer do you think it'll be until we actually rid ourselves of this administration? Certainly, these actions are impeachable. Well, the leaked transcript is not impeachable. To be clear, in his purview as President of the United States, in name, of course, asterisk administration, he can say whatever the hell he wants to Ghani. It doesn't matter. What could be potentially a problem is the fact that he provably lied to the American people. But in order for Soccer Mom America, which means the Democrats, to care, first the legacy media has to actually ask about it. And then they have to get Psaki and or Biden to actually answer the question. That's a little bit of a harder sell. HB, hey Sticks, do you like Frank Zappa? Yes, but I like Moon Zappa better. Actually, listen to Moon Zappa's Valley Girl. Oh boy, that reminds me a lot of my critics. Norn Iron John, Lindell is a true believer. It ain't no grift, Sticks. Well, I mean, if he believes the QAnon stuff, that just proves what I also said, which is he's back in the fucking crack pipe again. The QAnon horseshit was always bullshit. It wasn't real. It was probably created by a bunch of Democratic operatives. And that's the long and short of it. It's Nostradamus-style bullshit. I say this as an occultist. I'm well aware of the quatrains of Nostradamus and things similar to that. It's guesswork. It's both cold and hard, warm guessing. And it's not real. It's horseshit. I hate to tell you, there is no deep state operative undercover like the fucking railroad working to stall out the system and prevent abuse. You have to do that through civic action. Get involved at the local level. Get involved at the state level. Overthrow the critical race theory peddlers. Overhaul the housing authorities and get rid of them. Adam THM. Sticks, do you think Biden was looking at his watch? Saw the video and it looks like he just freaked out more than looked at his watch. I don't know. Probably looking at his watch. I mean, there is a plausible explanation, which is that he was, keeping the time of the little parade of dead people past him. That's possible. I'll even give him a pass. I'm not going to jump down his throat on that. It just looked bad for optical purposes. General Mayhem. Hey, Sticks, this Afghanistan debacle has Barack Hussein Obama written all over it, especially the $80 billion in free weaponry to the Islamic extremists. What do you think? Yeah, I think Obama's still involved with the executive branch. Biden probably calls him every day and talks about, hey, man, remember when we was friends in the White House? Do you still have that friendship bracelet with the pizza on it? Djibouti Lebowski. Sticks, have you tried DMT? If so, what was it like? Technically, I made an ayahuasca brew once. It was unpleasant. The La Purga part of it definitely happened. Very unpleasant, very acrid and sour. You have to prepare it with lemon juice or something like that. I got audio hallucinations a little bit, nothing visual, which is probably a good thing in retrospect. Fixie Clary, to be honest, I'm not really sure what QAnon even is. It's a LARP by liberals to try to make conservatives look crazy, actually. Oh, now Jen Psaki's press briefing says live in 82 minutes. Yeah, so they delayed it an hour and a half. Well, I'm going to give you a downvote just for that. Wonderful. Yeah, it's not like I have anything else to do. All I've got to do all day is just sit here and wait for Jen Psaki to circle back around and not answer questions. That's the only thing that I want to do. Andrew Levin, hey Sticks, do you like anime? Not much. I liked the Slayers. I watched that once. Slayers, they had 3 seasons, I think. Joshua Bryson, he checked his watch 13 times every time they brought a coffin out, according to the parents watching him. Yeah, a good way to be misconstrued for optic purposes. David Hunter, why would the Balkanization of the U.S. be bad? Here in New Hampshire, I do not want Californians having any lawmaking powers against us. By and large, they don't. That's the big lie that China's peddling to try to encourage that sort of secessionary rhetoric. The states primarily are responsible for like 90% of all the laws and regulations. Take over the states. That's my best advice. Fuck the federal government. Mostly they're powerless. And the states can rein in the federal government even where it has capabilities as well. State legislatures are capable of doing things. Yeah, Balkanization is the most stupid idea ever. When you start to separate, withdraw, defend as opposed to, pushing outwards, that's when you die. Doesn't matter if you're an empire. You can be a minor state. The same holds true. I support the Free State Project to take over New Hampshire. I support expanding it to take over Vermont and Maine. A 3-state solution is what we need. There are enough libertarians to pull it off. And the white nationalists, they can take over like Oregon and Washington. Black nationalists, they can go take over like Alabama and Mississippi. Let's have a nation with different conglomerates of people that get together for federal purposes, which was always the goal anyway. But at the state level, they have different ideas. Let's see which ideas actually work, socially and economically. Salty Iron Worker, thank you for educating this 50-year-old union iron worker every morning. Because of you, I'm able to understand more of the horse shit that goes on daily. Love the new place. You seem happier there. Here's a couple bucks for the garden. Thanks again, brother. Well, thank you for that. We have a garden here. So there's an outdoor area that is not a deck on the 2nd floor. I'm way happier. And also, this time of year, I tend to get more happy anyway, because it's almost Halloween. I know it's only September 1st, but for me, Halloween is 60 days long, or 62, or whatever the fuck it would be. But yeah, Jen Psaki's press briefing has been pushed back almost an hour and a half. So now she's saying live in 79 minutes. Thanks. Yeah. Everyone reacting to your stream, which, it can't be many people since there's only 1,200 people actually watching the White House stream. We're all excited. We're all very, very happy about this. This is why I was asking people on Twitter, please send me the links to other people that stream regularly. I can't restream it on here. I can't share it out because it's proprietary, but I can absolutely link it out in the chat, and thousands of people can potentially go and have a good time. So if any of you want to contact me on Twitter, I'll reopen the Opera tab here for Twitter. And you can send me DMs with links to people who are live right now. If their chat is open, especially if they're easily flummoxed, like it's the sort of person that's will react poorly to having hundreds of people show up to say clank. Nebris, do you suspect that Biden has intermittent episodes of competence and that these consistent delays are simply them waiting for one to arrive? Well, not this time because it's Jen Psaki. This doesn't have to do with Joe Biden. Joe Biden is not going to be like, he's busy napping right now. This is Jen Psaki. This is his underling, his crony. The chick that they trot out to, distract people by saying, well, I value your question. Let's circle around and talk about it later. And then at the next presser, they completely ignore the issue. Yeah, how many BLUs technically were we at? We'd be at 9 BLUs, roughly. 9 Biden loser units. 300 people watching a stream is a Biden loser unit because that's how many people watch his streams. Imagine if Biden had a YouTube channel, like flat out just literally hooked up a webcam like this and then had a YouTube channel. How funny that would be. I know Bill O'Reilly has one. I wish that he would do live streams. We could troll him. Ilhutu, I want a Styx mug. They are available. Link in the description to the merch store. You can get a Styx Hex and Hammer mug. Right now, they're only available in white as we look for other options. Because the first mugs, I had a problem with the fact that the screening, not the mug itself, that was made in the US, but the screening was done in China. And I didn't want to give them any money. Bartimaeus Carbulo 6684. Styx, is it plausible that the White House consistently delays live streams to attempt to wait out independent commentators like yourself? P.S. Secession is treason and QAnon is stupid. Yes, they are. I believe so. Although I don't think it has to do so much with that as the fact that the White House is just poorly coordinated. They can't get their schedules straight. Biden's dog took a shit in the hallway. Shit. We got to professionally clean this before Jen Psaki will go down the hallway because she's phobic. Geek Chorus. Papa John's Shack-A-Roni Pizza is back. Never heard of it. It's probably pretty good. I like to make my own pizza sauce and shit. You know, you liquefy the tomatoes, put in the herbs, the salt, and everything else, a little bit of sugar or carrot juice, actually. Make my own sauce, use like a blank crust, and then you just pile like, I like mushrooms. Pineapple is good. I don't say that just to make Razor Fist mad. Travis Bird, have you seen the video from LTC Stewart Shelter? Left the Marines to burn it all down, calling for others to follow him. Another psycho or possible legit revolutionary? Well, burning down the system can be ideological. You don't have to take up arms or something like that. But yeah, Lieutenant Colonel Stewart Shelter, he's the one that had to resign because he was taken down a peg for speaking out about the Afghan withdrawal. Steve Aoki is Chinese spy, creamy and steamy and dreamy. Andy's logs are stinky. Are they slitting down your throat? Down your gullet? Henkin, a Biden YouTube channel would basically be like the disastrous campaign streams they made from his basement in 2020. Or remember the Elizabeth Warren's meme squad or whatever it was called? Nobody remembers that? That was hilarious. Her meme team. Or Hillary Clinton kind of did the same thing. Geek Chorus, I love you, Styx. You've taught me so much. Much more teaching to be done. No passing notes in class. Put that gum away. Be like a school teacher. Nick Counts, Q is probably CIA or FBI. Afghan pullout was likely to import refugee voters to add to the illegals they let across the border. Well, the refugees can't vote. To be clear, they're not even being given permanent residency. They're being given a special status. Nor can the illegals crossing the border. They can't vote, so they don't have anything to do with that. What I think is that they just want slave labor. They want people who aren't fully documented so they can enslave them. Because they're on that special status, they're not U.S. citizens, they're more hesitant to use the court system even though they're technically capable of doing so. An employer can say to an illegal, hey, you just fucking... Oh, yeah, I'm working you 60 hours a week. Go ahead and take me to court and get kicked back across the border. Or you can make almost minimum wage, working 60 hours a week, send your goddamn remittances and fucking shut up. And that's what they do to these poor people. I feel sorry for them more than anything. I feel sorry for refugees and illegals because they're literally being used by the system, mainly by the Dems and their corporate donors. Tom Guo, hey Styx, been a fan since your video on Carl the Cuck and Abe Skrillex. Keep up a good work. Thank you very much. Yeah, I remember that. Those were good times back in the meme days. The meme war may be over, but another meme war is looming. Someone you may know. It's a Jen and Psaki party. Which one is your favorite? I hated sake when I tried it. Had it a couple times. Tastes like gasoline. Gin is better. If it's, yeah, even cheap gin. Down in Texas, I had some gin. It was in like a little plastic bottle. It was like $5. It's the equivalent of that cheap, shitty vodka you get in the gallon jugs, and it was still better than any sake that I ever had, whether it's low or high grade. Astral Walker, howdy sticks, love all the recent live streams. Did you see Project Veritas exposed on Antifa Maoist high school AP government teacher from California? See, I don't even care like what views the teachers have. Just don't preach them to the kids. Happens all the time. Bucket Bot, I wonder who has to take care of Biden's chocolate ice cream diaper surprises. That would be his wife, mainly. Or Jen Psaki, who knows. Derek F., what's the name of your short horror storybooks? I will be remaking those, but Sickness in Hell, and there's also a compilation called Morbid Stories that's available. Go to the Tara Warwick Books blog on either Blogspot or WordPress, and both of those are worth reading. You got to do some more editing and refining, though. They're in the old format I used to use back before I made things more refined. Carl, the House recognized George Floyd, but Pelosi blocked recognizing the names of the 13 soldiers murdered. I am beyond disgusted with Democrats. Oh, I mean, were there any Republicans that voted against? There probably were. Bipartisan rancor towards servicemen and women. Aiden Daniels, thanks for all your hard work. You're welcome. Oh, don't worry, you ain't seen nothing yet. I'm going to keep doing these fucking streams. Joe Biden's dentures. If you had to ingest the amount of salt that flows from bread tubers over your killing it with Super Chat, your blood pressure would be through the roof. Oh, they're salty about it? I would love to see some examples of that shit. Oh, how is it that Sticks makes money? Only socialists are supposed to make money off Super Chats. Why is this capitalist doing something and not feeling sorry for it? Not feeling guilty? Oh, I'd love to. Yeah, fucking DM me that too. See, Mark, did you see that your cameo on Ancient Order of Men's The Quartering spoof? You're a wizard. Yeah, I did see that. That was great. Emily C., Scandinavian countries have done the best job handling COVID. Was it the politicians making good decisions? Well, not locking things down and destroying their own economy definitely helps. Getting some exercise, not being obese. Scandinavians typically are thinner than, many people in the world. The Crappy Robot, thanks to your advice, my wife and I made a dish that involved our homegrown vegetables. Tasty. I'd like to see what the dish was. Best thing, you need to grow your own tomatoes, pick them fresh, and then make a nice sauce. Oh, yeah. Salt upon wound. The California teacher openly stated he was trying to indoctrinate students to turn them into commie revolutionaries. Yeah, well, keep in mind, just because the teacher claimed that doesn't mean it's true. That could be hyperbole. So we'll give the benefit of the doubt, potentially. Angrist, $5. No actual chat. Thank you. Now let's see here. Just a sec. Jenpsaki live in 69 minutes. I got to wait for her. I have more fun just answering the super chats. Wishmaster Brazen, this channel is the best political channel I ever found accidentally looking up the Hexen video game back in the day. Love what you do. Cheers from Canada. Oh, Hexen was great for the N64, I'm assuming you mean? Hexen was amazing for its era. Graphics already sucked by that point. It used the Doom engine, I think, if I remember correctly. Yeah, as far as games I was allowed to play, though, it was on the bloody, weird end, filled with crazy shit. By the way, there was a sword called Quietus in that the warrior had, and it sounded similar enough to coitus that actually one time a teacher warned me about using the term. Thought I was making a reference there, and I was like, what? The fuck are you talking about? I'm talking about video game. The Great Watubi, do you think the Democrats are a shoe-in to lose the House and Senate in 2022? Not a shoe-in. People need to make sure they're registered and actually vote. But probably. Yeah, I mean, they probably lose both. They might lose the Senate before that if Gavin Newsom gets recalled. Because remember, Feinstein's not long for this world. She's demented just like Biden is. Adam the Spaghetti Fanatic. The Californian teacher gave the students extra credit for going to leftist rallies. See, that would be a breach of yeah, the taxpayer-funded school doing that? That's a problem. Geek Chorus. Will Dems find votes in future elections like in 2022? Yeah, they probably will. I mean, in a 20. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, probably. So you have to counter it with mass civic action at the local and state level. The Arcadian 300. Who's the worst G7 leader in your humble opinion, not including Beijing Biden? Is Trudeau part of it? He'd have my vote. Jacob Givich. Do you believe there is anything that's good that came out of QAnon, even if you believe it to be a farce? No, I think that it's horseshit. And the people that believe in it should know better. Hemp Depot. NCR, Legion, House, or Yes Man? NCR, I'll say. More familiar with the Fallout 4 factions, actually. I tend towards the Minutemen, which is probably obvious. This game I'm playing through, actually, though, I'm going to side with the Institute. Just because, like, you know, what I've come to the conclusion of is basically it's about human architects. So if you side with the Institute, it's basically family is the thing you give importance. The group that your primary bond to is family, because, you know, the head of the Institute. And spoiler alerts for anyone that hasn't played Fallout 4, you can just mute it maybe. It is your son, so that's a thing. With the Minutemen, it's more like independence, regional independence, like the Commonwealth. The people being able to, you know, form their own government and shit. With the Railroad, it's mostly about liberty, but in a more abstract sense, because the idea of these technically non-human life forms being able to have independence. And with the Brotherhood, it's mostly about order, independence in the national sense, like patriotism, you could say. E-Rock, what's your opinion on Tim Pool? Always seems like he's doom and gloom. Yeah, he's a little bit black-pilled, but I still like the dude. Amy Hunter, $4.99, no comment, thank you. PC Fan, do you have your own Discord server? Nope, never used Discord. Hate Discord, it's unorganized horseshit. It's like Skype if Skype were even more fucked up. Take Skype, make it more communal, make it more fucked up in every possible way and less functional, and then you have Discord. Basically, it's just a place for weirdos to congregate and, I don't know, they share anime or whatever there maybe. Adam THM, Sticks, will you play Starfield when it comes out? I thought it was already out. Wasn't that one that was overhyped and you could travel the universe and then people realized how unhypeable it was? I don't know, probably not. Scott Steiner, the world's greatest ring announcer. Constitutional carry begins today in Texas. Yeah, I got to talk about Texas. They have passed their voter ID law, which is good. Constitutional carry, which is even better. However, I do oppose, and some of you won't like this, I oppose their 6-week abortion ban. It's a de facto ban because it has to do with the fetal heartbeat. I oppose this. The state should not be deciding medical decisions. I realize some of you believe, well, it's the fetus's life. Okay, that's fine. Kind of draconian, number one. Rather arbitrary, number two. You're not banning abortion. You're just putting an arbitrary frame of time in which it can happen. Number three, you're not preventing anyone who's like middle or upper middle class from getting it. They'll go across state lines. You're basically just forcing a bunch of people who aren't going to be able to take care of the kid anyway to not have an abortion and potentially prosecuting them, wasting more taxpayer money. And SCOTUS will shoot it down. That's a near guarantee that SCOTUS will shoot that down upon whenever they take the case up. Christopher DeBow. I'm concerned about climate change. Do you think at some point we will have to refresh our trees? Yeah, I know, I get the reference. Yeah, I think they're being refreshed a little bit right now. Lapse of apathy. Do you watch ASMR videos? What are your thoughts on ASMR? I wrote a book actually on ASMR and how it overlaps with elements of the occult, particularly sonic magic and the divine feminine. I don't really watch ASMR videos though. A lot of it, I think it's devolved into mukbangs more than anything else, and that just doesn't do anything for me, so I just sort of lost interest. JC Denton, what's your experience or concern traveling internationally in this time where a lot of places require a passport? Any countries you want to visit but can't? I've got a passport. I think you mean a vaccine passport. I don't care. what requirements are put up there. And of course, you can always take a cruise ship instead of flying. You always do that. I'd love to see Iceland. That's on the bucket list. I'd like to see some parts of Canada, like, further north, like Churchill, like with the polar bears and shit like that. I'd like to see Antarctica someday, see the penguins or whatever. See the Nazis come out of the ice like all the weirdos believe. There ain't gold in them there hills. It's just a bunch of swastikas and shit. Adam THM, you're thinking of No Man's Skies. Yes, you're correct. Starfield is the new game made by Bethesda and their first new IP in years. It comes out next year for now. Yeah, I'm waiting for the next Elder Scrolls title. My hope is that it's more RPG based than Skyrim. If they can accomplish that, then that'll be great. But really, I'm waiting for Fallout 5. And I'm not a huge gamer. I play like Napoleon Total War, Fallout 4, a few others. I'm not nearly as big into gaming as I was when I was younger. By the way, everyone, we are waiting for Jen Psaki. She's live in 62 minutes, although who fucking knows? She was supposed to be live almost a half an hour ago, but they pushed the date back, the time back. Commander 232, vet from North Dakota, much respect for you. Currently a federal protections officer defying stupid federal mandates that are unconstitutional. Well, that's very respectful, but you might want to remove that in case of legal trouble. And that's not a joke. Taurus 777, what are your thoughts on GMO foods and now these vaccines and its relation to the depopulation agenda? GMO foods, I think, should be labeled. People should be able to get whatever vaccine or whatever else jammed into their arm that they want, but it should never be forced. And we can leave it at that. Texas Wench. So if a fetus is a life, what justifies the murder of that life? I consider myself fairly libertarian, but I still think right to life applies to the unborn. Well, that's perfectly fine. What I would say is, though, the state, the government, has no say over such things. The state does not get to decide that morality. If a person decides that it's a life, then they shouldn't get an abortion. Simple as that. The state should have nothing to do with it. Blue Gig'em, Bugaroo, my six-legged flambeau, corn-studded log. Lots and lots of logs. The Crappy Robot, played Kingdom Come Deliverance? No, but I think I've heard of that. I think Razor was talking about that at one point. I love how I do get reamed a little bit on my abortion stance. It's sort of like if I talk about how I don't care if gay people get married. I can't bring myself to give a shit. It's a state contract. Wishmaster Brazen, Canada is at a point soon where I'm there going to be having vaccine passports just to do groceries. Super bad up here now. Yeah, well, out in the hinterlands, out in the boondocks or the sticks, pardon the pun, nobody's going to give a shit because, they might not even have a phone reader. That's the way to go. Rural living, or small town living at least. It's like here, nobody wears a mask. Even in Amsterdam, it's like maybe 5-10% of people at this point. Nobody cares. Spencer, $1, no comment, thank you. King Trump, do you regularly visit Patriots Win, aka the Donald? No, never, actually. I know they used to be a Reddit page, and they got banned because Reddit's full of communist bullshitters, and then they made their own page. I don't do that, so I prefer 4chan. I like anonymous posting. The Arcadian 300, Trudeau said we should apply what we learned from COVID to climate change. Do you expect climate lockdowns in some countries? Well, I mean, if you took him literally, that means that you would argue that the government should abandon the concept of doing anything about climate change because it'll just fuck things up. I agree with Trudeau, if that's his interpretation. Of course, we know it's not. Bob Dahl. Did you notice one of the Amazing Atheist's own mods was clanking along with us until he was getting really mad? Was hilarious. No, I didn't actually notice that. If you can clip that or something and send it on Twitter or whatever. I mean, I believe it. I mean, what's his core audience at this point? A couple of mods and 10 people or something. Mark Peterson, if the brand Saltine sponsored the NBA, would LeBron say the NBA is sponsored by crackers? Yeah, I guess he would. Spencer, another $1 without any comment. Thank you. I don't know. Are you trying to make a comment? Because that's the second time I think you've donated without a comment. I don't know. I can't even send super chats. Actually, it won't let me do that. It always gives me an error for some reason. Because I'm a Luddite. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm stupid. It's funny that I make my living on the internet, yet, you know, I'm like smartphone illiterate and everything. Bill Tano, carnies, circus folk, nomads, you know, smell like cabbage, small hands. Lucas Henry, play Kenshin, Ret Ard. Yeah, I've heard of that. It does look good. DD4V sent 50 pounds or euros, actually. Thank you very much. No comment again. Sarah Miska. Do you own any crystals? Oh, I used to have so many goddamn crystals. I went to rock shows with my mom as a kid, especially as a teen, for years and years. I had quartz crystals and Herkimers, double terminated quartz, actually. I had Amazonite, I had kyanite, I had Grolier mineral cards, and I memorized them all. Even now, I think I could take you down the rabbit hole of geology, which, by the way, UVM eliminating their geology department, actually, which is like the biggest farce in history. I know a great deal about geology. I don't think I've made a single video on the topic, though, actually. I should get some specimens and do, like, I'll do a geological ASMR or some shit like that. But yeah, I want to own, like, in the future, I'd like to have some display cases and have a whole bunch of really great specimens. You can get them online, you can get them at rock shows, you can get them at stores and stuff. There's a great one run by or it was years ago. I think it was called Gemstar in New Hampshire, run by some Shakers, actually. They look like Mennonites or like the Amish, but they're more chill than that. And they had this gem and mineral store. They had all sorts of cool stuff. In fact, I should go see that again sometime. They had this eagle that was made out of, what was it? I think it was carved out of jasper of some sort. I really liked it, but of course it was out of my price range at the time. It was a few $100. Should get that. I wonder if it's still there. I got some turquoise there. Really, really great. I had a piece of turquoise that was, you know how mostly it's blue, but with a little bit of black in it? I had one that was almost entirely black with just little speckles of blue. And then I had another one of almost the same size and shape that was light blue with just a little bit of black. And I thought that was just a cool juxtaposition. Yeah, you've gotten me excited now. I haven't done the mineral thing in a long time. I love fossils, too. I used to have a fossil collection. I won't even get into why I lost that. Goodest Goy. Got TJ to say, banana boy, butt baby, spurg rocking. Yeah. Also, he was just losing it. He even openly proclaimed to be annoyed during the Clank raid. Wish Master Brazen. Half the people up here wear masks and gloves during driving alone in their own vehicle. It's like wearing a seatbelt standing in a field. Yeah, well, they're the kind of people who wore helmets as kids, so you'll have to cut them a little bit of slack. Totenbloom, abortion is murder. That's why we need to force vaccines to stop these anti-vaxxers from murdering others. Kingdom Come is awesome. Creator is based. I get the sentiment. Alien Xenomorph. YouTuber Mike Curtis is selling merch with your face and brand on it. He says that he inspired you and that you gave him your blessing. Is that true? Micah Curtis. Let me look that up. I'll take a look right now. Be a problem. I don't think I gave anyone the blessing for that. Micah Curtis. This might be some sort of fucking joke or some shit like that, so bear with me. I'm not sure that I know this dude. I don't even see that he has a merch page, actually. Maybe it's in his about or something. Yeah, I'm not seeing that he has a merch page. To be clear, if he's claiming that I gave him my permission to sell merch with my face on it, to my recollection, I did not. But that may or may not be actually. Is this some sort of a meme or a joke? Because I know that you've got like the Sam Hyde shit that goes on, and I don't know. The crappy robot Colbert called those at the Capitol our Taliban. Yeah, and meanwhile, the only people that died were Ashley Babbitt, a cop that had a stroke, and a couple people that died outside. Epic Man 004, TJ's final words yesterday while saying, "What's with these spoon and banana emojis?" And then the fun begins. Oh, that was one of the greatest times ever. Matthew Hammond, Laura Loomer is changing districts to run against an incumbent Republican. This would be interesting if she won. Well, she would have my support. Knock a rhino off the pedestal. That works. Man Samsung, the best places in the world to live is Texas and Florida with all this COVID drama. Florida sucks weather-wise, though. Texas all the way of those two. Texas is good. I enjoyed it. Thor the Godly, Fallout 4 deserved better role-playing gameplay. Yes, if they had just added more RPG goddamn elements, that would have been, instead of an 8 out of 10 game. And I give it that because as a first-person shooter open world, it's very good. Almost really not that much RPG in it. If they had just loaded it with some more of that, like doubled the RPG element, it would have been a 10 out of 10 game. And I was really sad that they didn't. But the main quest line does have some convolution. It definitely, I mean, you can't argue it's not a massive improvement over Fallout 3. So, CJ Media, hilarious thread on poll right now about artflow.ai. Check it out if you can. I never heard of it. Radio Stella, hi Sticks, on lucid dreaming. It is incredible how the mind can recreate the world out there while basically in stasis. Almost convinced me that we actually could be in a simulation. Yeah, that could be. It's not entirely, I mean, it's not impossible. It's not even that unlikely. Astral Walker, thoughts on the NoFap semen retention movement. Is it quackery? Yeah, it's quackery. Your body continuously recharges and degrades the sperm. It's called an epididymis. That's where the mature sperm go. The idea that somehow not, orgasming is a health benefit, well, then I guess married people should just be like all withered and vampiric or something. Karma Michelle, Reddit never the same since Swartz got pushed out. Reddit was always sucky anyway. Never used it. Brazen Brand, Sticks making an Andy 6 log post of TJ wiping himself and showing everyone on Drunken Peasants, episode 346, timestamp 22520. Yeah, actually, I did see, apparently, like he wiped his ass at some point on a live stream or some shit, and people were begging for a meme. Again, I can believe it. I can't confirm that this happened. The Crappy Robot, could you fight a horse-sized duck? No, it would bite your head off. Ducks, they bite hard even when they're duck-sized. No thanks. I'd rather have a duck-sized horse. That, you can punt it or something. Or you can just give it to a small child as a toy and say it's animatronic, and they'll be like, wow. Christopher DeBow, studied biomed in New Zealand. My old professor told me that more than he should. Unreleased study. Australia is planning for 16 years of 80% vaccination by Pfizer. Yeah, they probably are. Yeah, not everyone's going to get vaccinated no matter what they do. Gerald Armstrong, can't wait to see what Psaki says about the leaked phone call. Probably not as perfect as Trump's call. She probably won't address it because she has to get a question first. And these questions will be screened. Mountain Coiner, during the clankening, we kept talking about putting you in his ass. Weird. Yeah, the Amazing Atheist has an anal thing going on, I guess, with me, where he's like, well, Sticks is scrawny. I'd like to shove him up my ass. By the way, his fans think this is cognizant and a win of some sort. It's like I am the storm of crows picking apart the cadaver that used to be your career, dude. You don't even understand it. Like you're roadkill in the 2020s. It's not 2010 or 2011 anymore. Your edginess is worn off. Your career is fundamentally fucked. And now I'm the crows picking at the carrion. Being a crow is good, by the way. Crows are smart. Jacob Givich, have you played Fallout 76? No, and I won't. I consider it to be non-canonical and looks, completely stupid. Jason J, all immigration is for census and districting. They count everyone. States like California took state-level control of housing developments. You do the math. Yeah, but first they have to be documented as undocumented. That's a problem. Lapse of apathy. What do you think about summoning succubus? I don't think you can really summon succubus. One might attach itself to you, though, so enjoy. The Human Centipede. Psaki said she's going to cunt down the enemy, and you asked if she's going to go over there to swallow them into her void. Head first or feet first? Lol. Feet first. That way it'll be a breech birth when she spins them around and fires them back out, and it'll rip their arms off. That's how we'll defeat the Taliban. Breech birth from Jen Psaki's unholy hole. Accretion X. Do you think Jen Psaki is attractive? No. I don't really look for that. I mean, I'm a married man and shit like that, but even, I mean, even who could, I don't think that anyone could say that, because it's like the mind just isn't there. Like the ability to just say, let's circle back around, it requires basically no talent now, does it? So there's nothing there to be attractive. Calvin O'Blennis, I'm in rural Nova Scotia. Nearest town is 900. Stores even here got fined if they let unmasked in. Vax passports will be the same. Rural doesn't help. It will be if people practice civil disobedience and jury nullification and just not informing the so-called authorities. That happens all the time in the United States. You'd be surprised. Matt Perkins, base 10.2. Will you ever return to the States? I think someone asks that every stream. Yes, I will be back in the States at some point. Salty Keldian. Do you find fighting games appealing at all, or Metroid-esque platform adventures? I still have a copy of Hotline Miami on Steam if you're interested. No, I only like open world games. They have to be first person, first person shooter. I like RPG elements in those games. That's basically the perfect game to have. Rocky, thoughts on odds of Newsom recall and voter fraud? 50-50 and 100%. There will be fraud in that election. That being said, the recall is still 50-50 because the turnout differential is definitely with the yes on recall, folks. Toxoplasma Gandhi. Have you seen Plandemic 2 Indoctrination? You should. I'd like to hear your thoughts. Yeah, I didn't even see the first one, I guess. I was too busy editing 200-year-old books, probably. The Crappy Robot. What would you say Vermont is known for? Ice cream, cows, rural mountains, and Bernie Sanders. And some people know who John Deere is. Farmers know about Vermont, even if they never been there. I think more people probably know about me than know about our governor. So, Shane Boatwright, I still replay New Vegas today. What did you think of it? It was a glitch fest, and it wasn't quite as big as 3. I wanted it to be more beefy, but the RPG inclusions are good. Mega Gamer 1988, with the CRT indoctrination garnering attention across the nation, will this push regular people against CRT in general? And with the internet, will people remember it and keep it from happening again? People have a short attention span regardless, but it is helping to push back against critical race bullshit. Christopher DeBow, is the central problem in the West a lack of fear in the wicked? Peter Hitchens seems to think harsher punishment would work. It's a convincing argument. No, the opposite is true. Rehabilitation is better. Harsher punishment is great for things that are actually crimes, actually problems. The problem is you got to reform the criminal justice system and massively streamline what laws we have first. But nobody seems to want to do both. They either want to just punish people more and make more laws, or they just want to release a bunch of nonviolent people and then not streamline the books. The Crappy Robot, thoughts on modern monetary theory? Well, it's mainly horse shit. Otherwise, we wouldn't be having economic problems, would we? The best economists in the world have built our economy. Too bad the economy sucks. I guess that they're not really the best. DD4V, did you ever hear about Jordan Peterson and his Jungian reframing of Christianity? I don't think I saw that part, no. Spencer, Ross, William Ulbricht did nothing wrong. Pesos, FNO. Thank you for the pesos. I'm going to take a quick break here because we still got like 45-ish minutes till Jen Psaki goes live. Again, she was supposed to be live almost an hour ago, just to be clear. People thought I was starting the stream late. I should have gone with my gut instinct and not even bothered to start until it said waiting, because then at least, you only have to wait 90 minutes. Now it's going to be like 2 hours almost before Saki's even speaking, and she might do the long-winded thing. She might be on there for 50 minutes. We never know. Sometimes she goes off after 10, 15. Sometimes she goes for 50, 55, even an hour. It's all over the place. This White House cannot manage a schedule. At some point, people are going to believe that it's being done on purpose. I don't think it's to screw people like me. Jen Psaki, probably doesn't know Clankdom exists, which is why she's so bitter and unhappy in the world. But certainly, something must be going on. There has to be some chaos in the White House. Something has to be the result of why this is occurring, the reason why it's happening. So I'm going to go off for a couple of minutes. Don't worry, I'll leave the live stream up. You can watch the cat sleep, I suppose. I'd zoom it in on her, but I don't know how. And I'm going to go get a drink of water and do whatever for a couple of minutes. Why don't you go first? Alrighty, I am back. Oh, still 35 fucking minutes to go. Oh, Jesus. Anyway, yes, I am back. We're still waiting for Jen Psaki. Reprisal for those that aren't aware already. Ann Coulter crediting Biden with the Afghan withdrawal, ending the war, in her words. The war is not over. There will be drone strikes. That's definitely going to continue to happen. The idea that the Afghan war is over, unfortunately, is no longer possible because we didn't stick to the initial withdrawal. That means it'll continue for years. It'll just be a silent war. It'll be drone related. No troops on the ground, just drones from nearby areas, Pakistan, maybe from Qatar, maybe from Kuwait, wherever. We violate airspace at a whim because we are empire. And while I like being part of the empire, I just wish that it was run by people that actually knew how to effectively use that power. And Biden is definitely not one of them. So Ann Coulter's a sellout. I've said it for years, like almost a decade now. I call him Adam Coulter, actually. Get to some super chats here. Much more entertaining than waiting for Psaki. Yeah, basically, watching Biden or Jen Psaki is like watching paint dry. I'd rather watch grass grow. And by the way, in this climate, it'll grow way faster than these White House streams. Christopher DeBow, I disagree, Sticks. I think harsh punishment is correlated with liberty. Draconian England had far more freedom than modern-day rehabilitative Soygland. Maybe, but not in the United States. You should give harsh punishment to those that deserve it, but the problem is the state is terrible at determining who deserves that punishment. Matthew Hammond, I would like to promote elofsomebitchttoldme.com. She is well researched and found proof that people were voting in 2 states under maiden names or old addresses. Yeah, there is voter fraud in any election. The bigger issue is election fraud on a wider scale. We're already seeing it in California with the Newsom recall. We had that crackhead passed out in a car with hundreds and hundreds of mail-in ballots. Never any closure on that, and you won't get it, by the way, until well after the voting is done. Salty Keldian, Sticks, on time precisely when he wants, like a wizard. Nick Ricada, late and gay. Jen Psaki, also chrono, I can't even use that word, I think, on a live stream. Now, Jen Psaki is just like probably what happened. This is my theory. The reason why this got pushed back 90 minutes is because of the letter that was the transcript that was released of Biden's call with Ghani, specifically undercutting what he said literally yesterday with regards to thinking, well, the Afghans, we expected them to fight. We thought they could hold the country and stuff. They let us down. That's not what you told Ghani back in June. You told him basically to lie to people and claim the Taliban was not advancing. Well, you got caught out in a lie now, didn't you, little Joey? Shane Keena, I was super chatting Red Eagle Politics last night, and his group should have had a much more clear position on housing and putting a conservative fingerprint on new housing construction in particular. I don't know much about that. Let's see. Christopher DeBow. Look at the USA. Still has capital punishment, yet way more freedom. When the UK hung you for stealing a horse, your average gentleman had pistols. Yeah, but those two aren't necessarily correlated with each other. Why don't you not hang horse thieves and still have the pistols? It's possible to have the best of both worlds. I think that only significant crimes, very significant, like rape, murder, stuff like that, only those should have harsh penalties. The rest, whenever possible, should involve restitution, either directly or through community service or something akin to it. Or should be like slap on the wrist fines, vandalism. Okay, well then, force them to remove the graffiti. That's all. Well, problem solved. There's no more graffiti, right? There's no reason to put someone in for months and months and have taxpayers funding that shit. Bill Tano, on behalf of all Florida man, I must express our outrage at your recent comments regarding our glorious tropical weather. Good day to you, sir. Yeah, I lived in Tampa for a few months. Trust me, it is not the best weather in the world, especially when you're in a broken down double wide trailer that doesn't have air conditioning. Christopher DeBow, please get the Death of Liberty on Audible. I've already paid for it by this point. Ignore the part where he blames rock and roll for everything. Well, if he blames rock and roll, then I can't get hip to that, dude. Blue Oyster Cult's great. Stephen Nizick, is Coulter trolling in regards to the Biden withdrawal? Considering how she turned on Trump, perhaps she applauded the Taliban getting 360,000 assault rifles that American citizens are denied. Yeah, she's just like Biden and all these others. Fucking neo-lib sellout. She pretends to be conservative because she knows the idea of a conservative woman will sell books. That's really what it's about. It's like with Mike Lindell. Hey, I sell pillows. By the way, I support Trump. Ooh, really? I got to buy your pillow because I like Trump too. It's horseshit. It's grifting. And Trump should never have surrounded himself with people like that. Christopher DeBow. Both Hitchens brothers have weird takes. Read some of Peter Hitchens' old articles. He actually makes an argument that North Korea is right-wing. Yeah, I see weird shit like that from leftoids all the time. Cameras are awesome. Hi, Sticks. Nice cloudy day here in North Phoenix. Getting my fall crops hardened off today for transplanting next week. Thanks for making gardening cool. Oh, it's always cool. In ancient Persia, only royalty and nobility were even allowed to have like home gardens. It was considered gentlemanly. It was considered the sport of royalty because it's godlike. You take a living thing, you put it in the ground, you determine where it lives. You either keep it safe or let it die. There's nothing more godly than that. Subject Noble. I wish Fallout 5 will have a vehicle system where you customize and drive around. The helicopter ride in 4 is cool. You mean Vertibird. I hope not, because there specifically should not be vehicle rides. I just want to be able to build wherever the fuck I want and build like a whole fucking colony. I want to go out into a Deathclaw infested area and build a mining colony surrounded with turrets and weird shit. With like an enslaved super mutant behemoth guard and stuff like that. I want it to be much more RPG-esque. And the crafting system and settlements and stuff in Fallout 4 were a huge improvement. Like people are looking a gift horse in the mouth at some point because like Fallout 3, if you looked at it, there were basically 2 main player homes. And everyone modded the game to have more of them. And Bethesda wisely looked at the mods people made and decided, hey, why don't you be able to build a whole village? That'd be way better than just building a house. And people don't give them any credit for it. I just hope that they improve on and massively build upon that system. Simon, hey Sticks, your content has been a great source of comfort, laughs, and info for me over the years. You're a gem in the old internet style in all its glory. Thanks for your work. All the best to you and yours. Much love. Well, you're very welcome, and thank you for the super chat. Drive-by commenter. Hey Sticks, since Windows 11 is around closer than we thought, are you planning to install an Arch Linux distro or get a native PC like System 76? I will not be using Windows 11. I've already made that decision. No thanks. It's just, you know, I don't want all of my files being non-proprietary because literally what they're moving towards is trying to force everyone to sign off on a EULA that'll basically say that they own everything on the computer too. Well, no thanks. I'll just keep using Windows 10 for now. That's fine. You know, you can check that. They're not going to go through anything. And then eventually, yeah, I'll be using something else. Scott Steiner, the world's greatest ring announcer. If politicians coerce people into getting a medical procedure and down the line there are long-term side effects, what should be the remedy? Prosecution, civil lawsuits. But that won't happen because of our stupid system. Wesley Tart, I enjoy your content. I think I heard you mention once that you were a fan of revolvers. Do you have a favorite? Mine is the Webley MK6. Thanks. I have several revolvers. My favorite, although I'm biased, is an HR Sportsman. It's just a 22, 9 shots, top break, that my grandpa gave me. But that's because he gave it to me. It's really extremely reliable and durable. They made them for decades and decades. They're got to be a huge number of them out there. I don't know what era it's from. I think from the 70s. It's a really nice revolver. My dream gun is a Banshee pistol chambered 5.7. Because that's like, you know, about as good as you can go with an actual pistol before you get to the rifle rounds and stuff. Yeah, I still miss Windows 95. I don't. Windows XP was the pinnacle of civilization. Everything else is downhill from there. Windows 7 was close. Windows 7 did streamline XP, and it's sort of like Windows 10 is Windows 7, only with more rounded corners and telemetry added. I actually have a program on the computer that turns the start menu back into the Windows 7 style. Plucked Pickles. Gotta say, when it comes to the settlement system, the idea is cool, but the actual tools to build suck in your settlements have no effect on the wastes. They do have some effect. Have you ever built up the Finch farm, put a bunch of turrets and shit there, and then you antagonize a super mutant at the satellite array, get them close enough so all the settlers pour out like an army? Especially if you've dressed them all in army camo or something like that, giving them helmets and assault rifles, and they'll go and they'll just terrorize them. Terrorize the super mutants. They'll get almost all the way over to County Crossing, actually. Patrick Godfrey, do you ever play any of the first 3 Silent Hills? No, I don't think I've ever played any of them. Rectal Ranger, repeating this super chat to warn you, Sticks, we can hear you pissing during your breaks. Yeah, you hear some ambient noise in the background. Parker Freeman, with all you read and discuss, how do you keep your optimism and avoid blackpilling? I realize it's always darkest before dawn, and I do what little I can to change the world. It's as simple as that. Stephen 10306. Hey Sticks, many people ask you if you see light at the end of the tunnel. I literally just said that. But the real question is, why do you see the USA making it out of this lunacy? I really hope we can make it. Love your work. Well, because we got a huge amount of resources and an enormous land area that has, relatively speaking, low population density. Growth is inevitable. And that's, you know, we've got more time than most nations. Most nations are either out or nearly out of time. China's too dense, India, Western Europe and stuff. Most of the nations that have a development index at all are already overpopulated. The US is not. Christopher DeBow, it used to be that if someone was murdered during a robbery in the UK, all the robbers were hung. As a result, there were no murders. Gentlemen thieves. Yeah, that's a terrible idea. Imagine the US government attempting to implement such a system. Mega Gamer 1988, also a reminder that culture wars can last decades and can devolve into something worse, like the Weimar government of Germany or Tsarist Russia. Yes, they can. However, we've been in a nonstop culture war anyway. Remember, the heyday of far leftoidism in the United States was 100 years ago. McKinley was shot by an anarchist. Socialism and communism and stuff like that was never more popular than it was in the 1910s and 20s. Osu for Mueller. I live in Tampa. It's raining and that sucks. I've been laughing at Aussies crying about their tyrannical government. Also, my handle is OSU Formulator. Tony Mathis. The government has set up phony gun sales sites to make a list of gun buyers. Shop Remington mimics Remington's company store but can be traced to the GSA through a shell company, Zeos, in Alexandria, Virginia. Well, as long as you get your gun. You can also do a straw purchase. Some old farmer with a pickup truck selling you a gun. It's legal, as far as I know, in most states. Leonardo Gomez. What do you think about Jordan Peterson and about his reflections on religion and his biblical series? I don't have anything to say about his religious views. That's okay. I would say that he's lying when he says he survives on nothing but red meat, because he'd be dead by now. EpicMan004, does Larry Elder have a chance? If Newsom is recalled, and that's a 50-50 at this point, Elder will probably become the governor of California. I think the only one other person that's near the top is Jenner. That'd be funny. Talk about a weird Schwarzenegger moment for the Californians. Anything would be better than having Gavin Newsom in there, though. He's a fascist. He believes in extreme authoritarianism. That's basically what the COVID response devolved into. It went from something that was initially, at least in part, medical, to something that was just political in nature. Has absolutely no bearing at this point on anything medical. It's devolved into a political debate. Blacklight freakout. Watch Meet Kevin's Jerome Powell to get fired. AOC and Nancy Pelosi wants the Federal Treasury Bank to fight climate change and racial inequality now. Yeah, but what Pelosi wants, she typically doesn't get. Pelosi is actually really ineffective. She's led the Democrats in the legislative capacity before, and it was always a disaster. I don't know why they let her keep her job. Some of the Justice Dems and others wanted to get her out of there. Let's see. Big McLarge Huge. Hey Sticks, big fan watching from Indiana. You said you were into 80s dark wave. Have you listened to The Midnight? Like or dislike? I probably have, but can't recollect them at the moment. I like Play. They did All in My Mind and a bunch of other songs. And bands like that, though. I also go into the Batcave side of goth, like Community Fuck, Christian Death, at least in the early years with Roz Williams. I don't have anything to do with them after he died. Mega Gamer 1988, which states do we look at to see if the tide is turning in the culture war, politically wise? First to California, see what the differential is on the Newsom recall. Because here's the thing. Whether he gets recalled or not matters less than the proportion. If there is an outsized turnout for those who want to recall him, whether he's recalled or not, that'll be a huge bellwether for the midterms. And also then isn't Liz Cheney up and a few others, and you got to look at those races. Shane Kina, all we need is a GOP majority, and it's about 4 to 7 solid representatives that don't suck. Well, keep in mind, some Republicans suck just as much as the Dems. Most of them, actually. But yeah, 80s dark wave is great. The 80s in general are better, music-wise. Italo disco is good. Brian Francis, I think we can also look at New York for a cultural shift. I think Curtis Silva might have a chance for mayor. I don't know anything about that, actually. I haven't kept up with New York politics lately. Simon, what's your take on cryogenic suspension? No noble gamble or fancy mummification? Also, what do you think of transhumanism? Thanks. Transhumanism is horseshit. Cybernetics is great, but transhumanism is a stupid idea. It won't happen. As far as cryogenics, that's wishful thinking. If you freeze the dead body solid, the person is dead. There's no brain activity. Even if you were to revive the body, it'd be like you'd be reviving a 40 IQ vegetable, probably. It wouldn't have any memories. It wouldn't be the same person. Basically, it would just be a shell. It'd be like if I took this computer and I take out everything that was ever installed on it, like the solid state drive's gone, the RAM's gone, the processor's gone, literally everything other than the shell of the computer. And then I jerry-rig something to turn it on afterwards, and then I turn it back on. Well, I mean, it's the same shell. It looks like the same computer, but it's technically not. It's just the appearance. Cryogenics are a stupid idea too. It's a waste of money. Basically, rich people who worry about dying, even though they're all going to die anyway, they're the ones getting cryogenic treatment. Maybe someday there will be something that prolongs human life to a considerable degree, but I think we should work on Alzheimer's first. We should work on improving the lifespan that's there so people don't get crazy like Joe Biden, first and foremost. We're 17 and a half minutes out, supposedly, from a press briefing by the White House press secretary. Yeah, by Andy. Still no Psaki? Yeah, it was supposed to be like an hour ago, literally, or a little bit more than an hour ago. They pushed it back. If they push it back again, I'm just going to go off. Like, go off the stream, not like lose it. I won't be like the amazing atheist last night. Geek Recon Z, Ethereum, Cardano, or both for investing. Disclaimer, this is not financial advice. I have both, but I'm more bullish on Cardano. Toxoplasma Gandhi, have you listened to Heroin and Your Veins? I know the name is nuts, but no joke. I don't know if they're dark wave, but they have a great dark sound. Sounds good. Sounds like the sort of band I'd like. There's a song called Heroin, She Said by Wolfsheim that I liked. Rocky, are the Dems capable of rigging the 2022 midterms? In some states, yes. The problem is most of those states are solid blue. In most of the meaningful states, including half the swing states at this point, defortification has begun. By the way, Texas has defortified its election. The Democrats that fled like little pathetic titty babies out of Texas in order to prevent a meaningful vote, they failed. And Texas is now passing its voter ID law, so that's a good thing. Giuseppe V. Hi, Sticks. Love your content, but why the swipe at Lindell? Are you not doing the same thing with your super chats? Does he not have the right to make a living? He is helping expose a stolen election. Well, no, what he's doing is he's grasping onto the grift of the QAnon shit and spouting off horse shit and making an embarrassment out of himself at his own conference there. He claimed that Trump would be back in August. He had undeniable proof, and he was going to put it before the nation. And then when everyone showed up, Medicare had the greatest takes on this, it fell flat. Like, they couldn't even get the tech right to even make him heard, let alone propose any actual evidence of ballot rigging or anything like that. It was just, he never had any evidence. He did that because he knew people would show up and they'd buy the fucking pillow. And no, I'm not doing the same thing. I'm not a shyster. If you buy my books, you get an actual book. I don't say, hey, Donald Trump is going to teleport into the room at 3 o'clock today. So stay tuned to my live stream. By the way, here's my merch link. And then after people have bought 1,000 mugs thinking that Trump's going to teleport into the room, I have technical difficulties and wander off. That's what Lindell did. Stephen 10306, do you study Austrian economics at all? Do you have any favorite economists? If economists were good, then the economy wouldn't suck like it does. No economist fundamentally is wise. The whole school, regardless of what kind of economics, they're just a bunch of weirdos that hawk their own opinions and pose them as fact based on some short-term trend that they happen to have noticed. I don't care about what kind. I mean, the most laughable are Marxist economics, but that's just Marxism. Musa Hamid, 199, no comment, thank you. I love it when people still, at this point, after so many months of Lindell making an ass out of himself, still think that I've got bad takes on Mike Lindell. They're still defending him. Liam Sexton. Hi, Sticks. Just wanted to say, even though I'm a Christian, I understand and respect your views on organized religion to an extent. Oh, that's good. So then you're an open-minded Christian. That means you're not hyper-religious. My problem is mainly with organized religion, like in the sense of a priest, a rabbi, an imam, whatever, telling you what to do and interpreting supposedly divine words. If you just believe, hey, there's a God, this is his book, and you interpret it yourself, that's perfectly fine. Somebody claiming Dianne Feinstein just died. I highly doubt that that's true, because that timing would just be really weird. By the way, it just went to the thing where it's going to go live here at some point with Psaki, so we'll try to get to these. Christopher DeBow, when Ethereum goes to stake, Ravencoin will be GPU mined. Hold on for dear life. The difficulty will go up, price will fall, but things could get interesting after that. God of the Night, Styx, why do a lot of Q supporters want a civil war so badly? I have a feeling that a lot of those that are proposing that are shills. They glow and aren't real people. They're probably on a CIA computer somewhere. Mega Gamer 1988, I see us going in one of two ways. Number one, an economic depression followed by a world war. Or two, the 70s Carter era followed by the 80s economic and pop culture golden age. Thankfully, I think number two is more likely. Again, it's always darkest before dawn. Musa Hamid, Styx, is there a way we can send you documents? You can link me on Twitter DM if you'd like to send me a document. Poker, ever read Raw, Law of One? If so, thoughts? Not familiar with that title. Matthew Hammond, according to Bannon, Lindell has convinced AGs to start investigating the elections. Well, that's Bannon. Bannon's also a little bit of an attention whore, so take it with a grain of salt or 10. Toxoplasma Gandhi, just so you guys know, if you want to mock TJ for this, he has a fetish for being eaten. He told me that and tried to get me to give him commands. Yeah, but he'd be unrepentant about it. He doesn't even see it as weird. Harambe, $4.99, no comment, thank you. But I think your comment would be dicks out for Harambe, actually. So supposedly Jen Psaki will be live, it says shortly. Maybe. There's only, not even 500 people are watching the official press secretary for the White House. We got almost 3,500 people here. We've got like 11 BLUs at the moment. Sorta retard. Hi, Styx. Google, YouTube won't let me say what I want to say. Like when my parents wouldn't let me watch the show Married with Children. It's a good show, by the way. One of the few sitcoms that actually was funny. Mainly because of that chick that fucked everything that moved. That was always a fun foil for jokes. Just think, The Simpsons basically robbed them of the same format when you really think about it. Only they made the daughter younger so that, you know, instead of being horny, she was just nerdy. Everything is a ripoff of classic 70s and 80s sitcoms. Synapse, 20 Rand, I think it is. No comment. Thank you very much. I know it's funny that they don't convert it automatically to dollars or anything like that. Yeah, I don't think that Feinstein actually died. I think that's troll. Friends is the worst sitcom ever. Yeah, all the 90s sitcoms suck ass. People pretend that they were great because they've got nostalgia for the 90s. Because like, well, we had technology, but not quite the same internet. We had the computers, but they were kind of clunky and kind of trendy and chic and stuff. We had chia pets. Okay, I get it. The 90s were good. Yeah, I'm sure especially if you were wealthy, the 90s must have been goddamn great. If you were like me and you were a poor kid and your parents refused to listen to the rock and roll station and, you know, Stern wasn't on the radio in your area, the 90s fucking sucked. I'm just going to come out and say it. Stop having nostalgia for the 90s. I'd rather have nostalgia for the 2020s so far. Frasier was Keno. Frasier was stupid. Seinfeld was stupid too. Wasn't that one goofball from Seinfeld? Didn't he get canceled at the end of the 2000s because he went on this red-faced rant? There was this black dude who was heckling him, and he started using the N-word over and over. And then I remember he was on TV. He looked so uncomfortable trying to apologize. He's like, well, he was heckling me. The problem is, if you're going to respond to a heckler, it's okay to say racial stuff as long as it's funny. But the thing is, what he was saying wasn't funny because he's not a good stand-up comedian. Oh, man, I remember that just as good as the OJ case. I had to listen to fucking Don Imus during the OJ days. Stern reeing in the distance, by the way. Okay, Scrubs, I'll defend. The first few seasons were funny, but then they tried to get too serious, and it was like House MD when they did the same thing. The first few seasons of Scrubs were good. Just like with The Office. The first few seasons of The Office were actually really, really great. But then they got more and more into the interpersonal stuff and relationships. And it's like, I just want to see jokes cracked. I want slapstick humor. Be more like Charlie Chaplin. Movie Maker 2100. Thoughts on Fake Sagan and Venom Fang X? No thoughts on the former, but Venom Fang X, wasn't he a cringy douchebag from the 2000s era of YouTube? And was like the ultimate lightning rod for every atheist on YouTube at the time? Daniel Field, cease your heresy sticks. Home Improvement was great. Long live the Vermont Republic. Home Improvement was funny. At times. Mostly because of the sidekick dude there, the fat one. I can't remember his name. The Rambling Recollector. Hey, Sticks, ever read any Clark Ashton Smith? You might like his Averoigne series. If I remember right, the Beast of Averoigne was kind of like a slightly sci-fi version of the Beast of Gévaudan. That sounds interesting. Never heard of it. Look into it. HF, dude, I'm loving that we get a bunch of these live streams from you. Have an awesome day, Sticks. Oh, more to come. I want to do 2 or 3 of these a week. Preferably, people can send me channels that live stream frequently that they don't like, and I can see if they're worth getting clanked. Stephen Nizek, do you consider Babylon 5 to be as bad as sitcoms? No, Babylon 5 was good. I really liked that as a kid for the first 3 seasons. It gets a little bit old. Like the first couple were kind of more comedy sci-fi. Then they get more serious. 3 was good. 4 was they got more into sociopolitics and stuff, and it was kind of fun with the Narns and the shadows, shadow people and shit like that. I liked Babylon 5 though. Christopher DeBow, I was born in 87. I don't know how I survived the 90s. I had to use a library that had a book slot that ripped off someone's finger. Boring yet metal. Yeah, the public internet sort of thing didn't really hit my village, literally village of like 1,400 people till I was almost in middle school. I was like in 5th grade at the time. Senor, why me? Seinfeld dated a 15-year-old when he was 38. Well, I mean, as long as it was platonic, I guess, and it doesn't break the law. Kind of creepy, though. But I mean, it's Seinfeld, so what do you expect? Imagine Kramer does that. Cosmo Kramer. He's like, oh, yeah, well, I figured that it was half of your age, minus 20. He would consider that a good comedy routine based on his past proclivities. Scuds, been watching you for years. Thank you for all the commentary and insight on the occult and politics. You're very welcome. Haywood, Common Sucky, bringing us all non-answers to the important questions. Yeah, and she's late again. They pushed it back 90 goddamn additional minutes, and they're still late. It's still been 10 minutes since this thing said live. So yeah, I'm going to take another quick break, just for a minute or 2, I promise. And then I'll be right back with some live ridicule, assuming that at some point she shows up. There's only 800 people watching. They're probably waiting till there's like at least 3 or 4 Biden loser units watching her to even justify it. So just give me a minute. I can't stand Jen Psaki. She's even more of a later tater than Joe Biden. Need to get wireless earbuds some point. Something's got to change. Yeah, we will begin shortly, says Jen Psaki. We'll see. What does shortly mean? The height of destiny? Sorta retard. Why does no one talk about the show Space Above and Beyond? Probably they haven't heard of it, like me. Lev Polyakov, looking forward to having sticks with Paul Rossi on BreakTheRules.tv next Tuesday. Also, my father is making the wooden dragon sculpture right now. I can't wait to see that, Lev. Yes, I will be on Break the Rules there with Paul Rossi. Planning a bunch of appearances, actually, over the coming weeks. Musa Hamid, ever seen the documentary Jesus Camp? Yes, I saw clips of that. I remember that was a meme long, long ago in the Bush admin days. They had the little cardboard cutout of Bush, and they were praying for him and speaking in tongues. And I don't know. I don't think it's just horse shit. Yeah. So we're still waiting for Jen Psaki. I feel like Rip Van Winkle. Like, you know, I'm going to nod off, and then I'm going to sleep again when she speaks. Adam the Spaghetti Fanatic, do you think the Biden administration is doing this because of your high BMU score and being a passive-aggressive can't? You mean BLU. Yeah, we're at 12 Biden loser units already. There's 3,600 people watching cross-platform here, including almost 3,500 on YouTube. There are less than 1,000 people waiting to watch the White House stream. This is normal. 80 million votes. 10 scoops of ice cream, most popular president ever. Hee 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 hee. And to Fark Roy there, no, you don't have to pay me to talk to you. The problem is that there are so many people on the stream, I literally cannot keep up with chat. So I prioritize the super chats. That's the only reason I started taking them in the first place. Is they're just, I mean, even with slow mode on YouTube, where there are almost 3,500 people watching, I can't keep up. I can barely keep up with the super chats. DJ Zeno, Sticks, what are your thoughts on historical revisionism? Open-ended question, and I don't mean just BitChute Nazis. Your take? I oppose revisionism. History is history is history, and once documented should generally be kept intact. There are exceptions, of course, like new evidence countermands something that was long thought as far as analyzing things. But historical evidence, by and large, is pretty ironclad for a lot of major events and periods of time, and people keep reanalyzing them over and over and attempting to overthrow prior paradigms of thought, but they're all just analytic. None of them come from history. They come from just a bunch of opinions. Dwilla6351, Sticks, what's the best way to deprogram my commie Vouch-watching older brother? Turn him on to my videos. That's probably the best way. Deprogram him by getting to watch something that's actually intelligent, as opposed to fat-ass Vouch. Musa Hamid, thoughts on Tony Blinken and Lloyd Austin? Blinken's nuts, Austin's nuts, the whole Biden admin's nuts. Dimka, Clank from Ohio, love your content. Do you think the U.S. will be in trouble if it had to fight an actual war under the current clown administration? Symmetrical war will do just fine in. But what the problem is we haven't fought a symmetrical war in a while. Symmetrical wars are easy. You know, it's brute muscle, basically, at some point. RCW, I reckon Biden collapsed Afghanistan on purpose. The weapons will flow to Pakistan and Iran, leading to more intervention. That's possible. It's entirely possible. Rip Murdoch. Sticks, have some English pounds, good sir. 90s culture isn't all bad. Do you like the movie Seven? Sir, surely a dark classic in any era. I don't think that I've seen that. And then, no, the 90s culture is not bad. It's just overhyped. Mainly because millennials, I mean, we got fucked in the 2000s by the Great Recession. We got fucked in the 2010s by interventionism and stupidity. Other than a brief moment under Trump, we've had it hard our entire adult lives. And so people have this nostalgia for what happened before the Great Recession, basically, which happens in the mid-2000s. That's the only reason people have 90s nostalgia, that and certain good TV shows. Thor the Godly, what are your thoughts on the 6 Gorillion? I can't share my thoughts on such things. Not on YouTube. The Swamp Cleaner. Hey, Sticks, you said that you had experience with dementia. What kind of weird stuff is Biden doing when it gets late in the day? I don't know. Probably napping. I think that he wakes up and after the first presser or something, takes a nap. Then he has ice cream and he takes another nap. He meets with a dignitary and takes another nap, and that's basically his day. He's a very low energy man. Christopher DeBow, look up Jen Psaki on YouTube. CNBC, etc. use a thumbnail with her in a tight top when the actual video has her in a suit. Mutt feminism, am I right? Yeah, they try to make her look sexy, I guess, but that's to get more viewers. They're hoping that people will tune in, hoping to see down Jen Psaki's shirt, which is about the most goddamn fucking pathetic thing I can think of. Brandon Jones. Hello, Sticks. Any thoughts on Crowder's recovery and brand new twins? And do you think you'll do a segment with him once the show is back online? I would go on Crowder's show, but I think, again, it's mostly in person, like with Tim Pool. I like to connect remotely when possible. And I'm in the Netherlands. I'm glad he's recovering, though. I know he had, didn't he have heart surgery, I think? Some sort of congenital heart defect that he had to get taken care of. Salty Kraken, Sticks, Matt Dillahunty, yes or no? I don't know. Don't know who it is. Chris Telford, Sticks, by having our military vehicles, do you think they will be easier to track? Possibly, but that would require that logistics be intelligent. But currently, the U.S. military is technically run by Joe Biden. So we've answered your question. Rated Hex, Sticks, please YouTube and play right now the 1-minute video titled Gladys Berejiklian Takes Over the World. You will love it. No, I can't do that because it's probably copyright. Movie Maker 2100, why did you delete your TAA Bananagate videos? I don't even think that I had a video about Bananagate at the time. If I did, I went through and I deleted a shit ton of old videos a few years ago because YouTube keeps changing its TOS. That might explain it. Richard III, what's in the box? Lol. What box? Musa Hamid, have you watched and read Christopher Hitchens? I keep getting Christopher Hitchens mentions today. I've heard of him. I haven't watched any of his shit, I think. The Rambling Recollector, do you think Salad Fingers would make a better Speaker of the House? I just wish that Salad Fingers would be revived as a series. I guess after the last one, I think the latest edition of Salad Fingers got demonetized. And David Firth, I think, stopped doing them probably in part because of that. Because, you know, if you're mainly ad-based or something like that, I mean, especially if you're a last-gen YouTuber and, you know, the engagement is a little bit different as far as like crowdfunding or something. If you're relying on ad revenue, you sort of have to toe the line. That's why I never took it. Love you, Sticks. Thank you. Salty Kraken, Matt Dillahunty from the Atheist Experience. Well, no, I don't fall in with the hardline atheists. They all seem to be leftoids these days. Alex, make a shirt, put my shot in my head. Is that a drinking reference? Musa Hamid, do you like Jesse Ventura? Somewhat. More cognizant than most people in politics. Apparently was a good governor at the time. How long are we? I've been streaming for almost 2 hours here. I feel like I'm going to be doing a daily radio show or something like that. I'm going to become a sellout podcaster at some point. If I have to wait 2 fucking hours for Jen Psaki, again, she was supposed to be live an hour and a half ago, pushed it back. She's 10 minutes late again. What the hell am I supposed to do? Well, I was hoping to respond to Jen Psaki at some point. Andrew Hatley, why is no one talking about West Exec, former employer of half the administration? Probably because it's not talked about by the legacy media. Yeah, they are rehearsing. Yeah, Jen Psaki right now, she's rehearsing her lines. It's like, okay, these are the questions you're going to get. Here's how to answer them. Make it look organic. Make it look natural. Biden tries to do that. He fails. Stephen 10306, Sticks, I believe the Chinese are going down a slippery slope with the Taliban and will eventually replace the USA and Soviets as mortal enemies. What do you think? China's already the main adversary of the Western world, not just the US, but the entire civilized world. But they're a paper dragon. They're a paper tiger. All the China worship in the world won't prop up their ailing economy because it's built on speculation and lies, currency manipulation, things like that. At this point, there's 4,000 people almost tuned in just to hear me rant because apparently Jen Psaki doesn't know what the fuck she's doing. She's never actually going to go live. I'll have read hundreds and hundreds of super chats, and she won't have even answered one question from the press. Can you imagine being a press member, by the way? You're like, you seated there. You're like, okay, she's going to go live at like whatever o'clock. Like, okay. And then they push it back 90 minutes. They're like, okay, you're going to have to sit there. You're not allowed to have water or food or anything. You got to keep your fucking mask on so you can't eat anything. And then 90 minutes later, it rolls by. The camera's rolling. And then, you know, she's another 15, 20 minutes late. Toxoplasma gondii. Crowder had an inverted sternum from Ehlers-Danlos, compressing his heart badly, so he needed rods to push it forward. I have the same disease. Never heard of that. So it's not technically a heart defect. It was his sternum was pressing his heart, I guess. Glad he's recovering. Biden's diseases don't have anything to do with his heart. They just have to do with his brain. Oh, Jesus. Has there ever been a White House that has pushed back so many live streams, so many pressers and so forth? Rocky, do you feel the coronavirus was intentionally leaked, possibly to overthrow Trump in 2020? Honk, honk. No, I think that China released it after gain of function was done on it in order to kill a bunch of old people to solve their demographic crisis. I think that at this point, I'm leaning towards China did deliberately leak it from the Wuhan lab. And specifically because it kills mainly old and sick people, it's a way for them to save money. And then they cook their books and say, oh, only like 90,000 people have died here. No, no, no. It's more like several million. Several million Chinese people are dead. They're just in shallow graves or got summarily cremated. You know, you lock them in their apartment, you weld them inside, and then you let them die. In the middle of the night, you drag them out, you burn them, you warn the neighbors, hey, by the way, if you say anything, you're next. Yeah, it's easy in an authoritarian system. Tater Tot, what do you think of breaking points with Crystal and Cigar? Does Cigar simp for Crystal? I don't know. Don't know anything about this show. But yeah, as far as anyone that is just joining, Ann Coulter has decided to opine on Afghanistan, giving Biden credit for ending the war there, even though the war hasn't ended and the withdrawal was brokered by Trump. Not saying anything about Biden's botched withdrawal because she's a sellout and a grifter. And then we also have a revelation as of literally yesterday, late yesterday, that Biden actually called Ghani, the head of the Afghan government, up and begged him essentially to portray the situation as much better than it was. This despite the fact that literally the other day he said that he had faith in the Afghan government. He thought everything would go fine. Well, the problem is that his own phone call transcript completely negates this concept. Turns out Biden knew full well things weren't going well. So why did he claim that to the nation literally yesterday? That might be why Psaki, by the way, is so late. She's 2 hours late almost now because they had to prep for this because they know they might get a question. Luther Hildebrand, did you hear about the anti-abortion law in Texas? Yes, I oppose it. I think that a woman's right to choose is sacrosanct. I don't care whether people agree with me or not. And I know a lot of you disagree. You think abortion is murder or something. Well, I happen to have a different opinion. I believe the state should butt out of it. Medical decision-making. Cesar Lucis, thoughts on the Afghan refugees? Well, there's a safe third country willing to take them all. Well, but they won't remain there. Biden wants to use them as slaves. Luke, well, let's go. Joe Biden is the best thing to happen to Disney's Hall of Presidents. If it malfunctions, you get the real Joe experience and the show goes on. Yeah, ain't that true? Mucking Placer. I just now received the YouTube notification that you are live. Is that what Jen is waiting for? Well, I have longer breath than her, as the Dutch would say. Istari, why did 100-something people like Biden stream when he's an hour late? And will you re-upload old videos on alt media? I don't have backups of most of those that I deleted before, but that's okay. I mean, there's still hundreds and hundreds of hours of pre-2016 videos up on YouTube that I made anyway. Big Moose, you think Kalinske is one of the sensible leftists? No, I don't think that he's sensible. There's no such thing as a sensible leftist. There's just less insane ones. Christopher DeBow, 1.4K watchers, 1.4K downvotes. Tough crowd. Kind of crazy it's that low. Are most people still completely uninterested? Are we the weird ones? Yeah, there's like almost, there's 3 times as many people watching me right now as are watching, waiting for Jen Psaki to shower them with her presence. West, hey Sticks, is banana bread considered part of a healthy breakfast? Also, how much do you think a president should be able to deadlift at minimum? I don't care how much they can deadlift. I just hope we don't have to lift the dead out of some foreign country all the fucking time. We seem to have difficulties with the latter. And yes, banana bread is reasonably healthy. It's got bananas in it, doesn't it? Usually has nuts. By the way, I don't eat walnuts anymore. Last time I had walnuts on a salad, they tasted good, but then my tongue felt like sore. And so I'm like, well, I don't want to push it. I might have an allergy. I can eat peanuts and all that shit, though. Lord help me if I ever developed a peanut allergy. It's in everything, and it's tasty. Robbie Mack. Mexico is suing gun manufacturers for weapons entering their country. Should we expect the Middle East to start suing Lockheed Martin, Raytheon, etc.? That's stupid, number one. And number two, if you want to sue anyone for guns entering your country, sue the Obama admin for Fast and Furious. By the way, Biden wants one of the Fast and Furious agents to actually serve as the head of the ATF, Chipman. Andrew Hatley, what's the more viable option, convention of states or tax revolt? Neither. Local civic action. Take over all your local offices and then head to the states and take them over too. No problem. Christopher DeBow, Biden has vascular dementia, not Alzheimer's. He gets a shitload of little strokes. At some point, he's going to get one in the wrong spot and game over. That's possible, although I think he has literal dementia as well. Probably in addition. Normal America with Rob Knorr. I debate and embarrass leftists like Vaush and Destiny on my Twitch channel regularly. Is it worth to debate these people? It depends on the person. I won't debate Vaush because I know his entire grift is to get attention from larger creators. This is the case with Anomaly and certain people like that. Saki's going to go live. Maybe. Alexandra, we need to circle back to Trump. Creepy Uncle Joe can retire in Gitmo. Carl Lockwood, it is sad I'm playing Dark Souls 2 and not speedrunning waiting on this Psaki chick, currently at Dranglak Castle. And Big Moose, Obama admits that Gaddafi and Libya were his biggest mistake. What do you think? Oh, it was Hillary's mistake too. Sacred Assault, opinions on Tulsi Gabbard. I think she's pretty level-headed for a Dem and has reasonable views on things. She is a desperate anti-gunner. I think Tulsi Gabbard's nuts. She just has the surfer mom Hawaiian bullshit thing going on. So yeah, Psaki supposedly be live here in a minute. We'll see what's going on. Now, 2 hours into the fucking live stream, she finally shows up. I should have just taken a shower and gone to bed. Now watch, it'll take her 20 minutes before she gets to the fucking podium. Do not underestimate her ability to fuck things up. She's just like her boss, Biden. Rocky, how long will the U.S. have to deal with mandatory vaccine nonsense? A while. Just hold your breath longer than the coronatarians and everything will be fine in the end. I can't wait to see if anyone even bothers to try to ask her about the Biden call transcript there with the Taliban forces. If they do, I bet she'll circle back around. We'll see what happens. I hope this is a short presser because Jesus Christ, I mean, am I supposed to stream for 3 hours for 10 minutes of Jen Psaki? Get your schedule in order. Christ. Be like, hey, I gotta go shove a Q-tip up my asshole. I've got better things to do. I gotta go drag my ass down the sidewalk, pretend I'm a dog. I do it every night. Steel Rain SR, you say the government shouldn't intervene in abortion, but isn't it the government's job to defend citizens' rights and decide when someone becomes one? Yeah, but your fetus is not a citizen. So that's the problem. I don't want the government making medical decisions. It's a small step. If they gain the ability to make that decision, then what's to stop them from mandatory vaccines or mandatory cybernetics? You say it's weird and pie in the sky to say that. I say that it's a slippery slope within the legal field. Thor the Godly, Ontario just announced mandatory vax for indoor dining, gyms, and theaters. I'm moving out of the province. Good on you.
Good afternoon.
Oh, here's Jen Psaki. Time for some lies.
Okay, just a couple items for you all.
Okay.
Another update on the hurricane. The continuing focus
Oh God,
on the
nobody
ground
cares.
on power restoration, as nearly 1 million customers in Louisiana, more than 40% of the state
Okay,
remain
I'm taking.
without
Oh,
power.
she's talking about the fucking hurricane. I'm taking one more break.
Progress has been made in Mississippi.
I can't even.
since
I don't even
yesterday.
want to listen to this
30,000
bitch talk about the
customers there still
hurricane.
do not
I've heard
have
enough about
electricity.
Hurricane
Power
Ida.
restoration
It's just a
in
hurricane.
Parts of Louisiana,
Well,
and parts
climate
of
change.
Louisiana could take weeks as crews assess the full extent of power system damage. To help accelerate these efforts, the president spoke with CEOs of the largest energy companies in the Gulf Coast yesterday and committed the full weight of the federal government to providing resources wherever they are needed. As part of that, the federal government is sharing aerial and satellite imagery to support damage assessments, helping with debris removal and traffic control so restoration workers and equipment can get access to downed wires and poles, and expediting permitting for rerunning of transmission cable across the Mississippi River and for standing up transmission towers. Federal personnel from DOE, the Army Corps of Engineers, and across government are on the ground assisting efforts, along with, as I've noted previously, 25,000 linemen. Lack of power and damage to the healthcare facilities in Louisiana remains a significant problem. We are prioritizing the deployment of generators to locations most in need, and about 1,800 patients
All
as
right.
of today have been evacuated from healthcare
Psaki.
facilities with the help of additional ambulances that were pre-staged by FEMA. Cell service
Blah.
also remains an issue, as it has been over the course of the last couple of days. And FCC is working directly with wireless carriers and has deployed staff to Louisiana to prioritize recovery efforts. We know this has been incredibly difficult, continues to be for many people who had to evacuate because of the storm, and we continue to encourage individuals from impacted areas in Louisiana to apply for federal assistance.
Apply for federal assistance. Get your free funding now. Yeah, you have to pay it back at a higher interest rate than BlackRock, but yeah, whatever.
Than 31,000 households in Louisiana have already received a one-time $500 payment to support critical needs as a result of the major disaster declaration that the president approved. I'd also note this just went out, but in case you haven't seen it, on Friday, the president will travel to New Orleans, Louisiana to survey storm damage from Hurricane Ida.
For the half of you that are already asleep listening to her drone on and on endlessly about the hurricane, don't you wish it was Kamala? At least then I can do my Squidward impression.
And meet with state and local leaders from impacted communities. We're just finalizing the details of this trip, so as more become available, we'll share them with all of you. Also wanted to note that
Tonight's drinking game, take a shot every time she doesn't mention circle back around and you'll be sober at the end of the night. Disclaimer, that's just a joke, by the way. I have to say that for legal reasons.
the White House and agencies across the federal government, including HUD, Treasury, and the Federal Housing Finance Authority, are announcing steps that will...
Yeah, she's going to give, I guess they're going to give $500 to people who lost their entire livelihood. Economic sense, the Bidenomics way.
Create, preserve, and sell approximately 100,000 additional affordable homes over the next 3 years, with an emphasis on lower and middle ends of the market. These steps leverages existing authorities and dedicate additional resources to affordable housing. Specifically, they will boost the supply of quality, affordable rental units by increasing the financing available through HUD, Treasury, and FHFA programs for affordable and targeted housing production, including a real...
How many of those people are going to get that $500, get a handgun, and blow their head off out of sheer misery? Oh, yeah, my $200,000 home's gone. A garden got washed away, so you know my little canning operation's gone. Oh, I got $500. Oh, this is gonna be a good weekend. Or they just get a bunch of whiskey, just drown their sorrows.
Launch of the federal
I know I
financing
would.
banks risk-sharing program expanded support for low-income housing tax credit.
By the way, Big Moose asking me, do you do commentary full-time or work 9 to 5? I'm self-employed as an editor and author and YouTuber and now live commentator. So no, I don't have a 9 to 5. I used to be like, I did some freelance projects. The only like 9 to 5 sort of job I had in my life, ironically, was as a glorified telemarketer for UVM for a while. Fun stories. Still got the t-shirt.
Increasing access to the capital magnet fund and this will boost the supply of manufactured housing and 2 to 4 unit properties by expanding financing through Freddie Mac, which along with existing policies will enable more Americans to purchase homes.
Now, wasn't Freddie Mac the one that was allied with Fannie Mae and they had that big scandal years and years ago? Like that was the early Obama years or something? I'm pretty sure that they did. By the way, there are twice as many people watching me react to Jen Psaki as are watching Jen Psaki. Not surprising, since at least I do one-liners and occasionally impressions. Sometimes I'm even funny. Jen Psaki is never funny.
Last item. Sorry, there's a lot going on today. Today, the White House Treasury and Coulter and Afghan, a civic technology nonprofit, announced the launch of a new mobile-friendly and bilingual child tax credit (CTC) sign-up tool that is mobile-friendly and available in Spanish to make it even easier for more Americans who do not regularly file taxes to claim their child tax credit. And as you know, this has been an ongoing effort of this White House and the administration.
Yeah, thousands of people are displaced by a hurricane. Biden objectively lied about Afghanistan and the withdrawal was completely botched. There's still hundreds of Americans there. Let me talk to you about child tax credits. That's really important right now.
To reach every single person we can who's eligible, even if they are non-filers. We will link this new tool through childtaxcredit.gov, while the Code for America tool is an important and necessary resource to help more families this tax season. Treasury remains committed to creating a permanent, fully resourced, multilingual, and mobile-friendly government sign-up tool. That is a process that is underway. That is all I have to highlight for you this morning or this afternoon. Go ahead, kick us off.
Great, thanks, Jen. 2 subjects. First on COVID. In Louisiana, state data suggests that about 10% of hospitalized patients are vaccinated. Is it still accurate to call COVID a pandemic for the unvaccinated? And could that phrase that's been deployed frequently by the White House possibly be counterproductive at this stage to protecting some Americans?
Well, I would say first, we continue to track data closely through the CDC and all of our healthcare, health and medical experts who do show that across the country, the vast majority of those who are hospitalized, vast majority are individuals who have not been vaccinated. That has not changed. And any health and medical expert, whether it's Dr.
I literally end up yawning while listening to her. It's not even for effect or anything. It's just, she's so goddamn boring. Be terse. Stop talking in circles all the goddamn time.
Dr. Collins, Dr. Walensky will tell you that vaccination is very effective in protecting from hospitalization and death and serious illness. That is our objective, is to save more lives. So that hasn't changed our messaging.
Secondly, obviously in Texas with the law with regard to abortion, the president said in a statement he will protect and defend Roe versus Wade. How does the administration plan to do that?
Well, we put out a statement from the president this morning, but let me just reiterate some of the key points, and I will, of course, answer your question. As the president said this morning, its extreme Texas law blatantly violates the constitutional right established under Roe v. Wade and upheld as precedent for nearly half a century. It will significantly impair women's access to the health care they need, particularly for communities of color and individuals with low incomes. It also deputizes private citizens to bring lawsuits against anyone who they believe has helped another person get an abortion, which might even include family members, healthcare workers, front desk staff at a healthcare clinic, or strangers with no connection to the individuals. This further isolates individuals who are facing this tough choice. And I would note, for those of you who didn't see, people who report, who for these private citizens could get up to $10,000 for reporting somebody who's seeking an abortion. So our focus and the president's focus is to reiterate our deep commitment to the constitutional right, of course, established by Roe v. Wade nearly 5 decades ago, and to continue to call for the codification of Roe, something that the president talked about on the campaign trail, the vice president talked about on the campaign trail, and this highlights even further the need to move forward on that effort. Go ahead.
Thanks, Jen. One on COVID and Afghanistan, a single on Afghanistan, specifically the boosters. President Biden has pledged to follow the science in the fight against COVID, though some experts have expressed.
So far, not a single question with regards to the leak the other day of the transcript of Biden's call with Ghani. I guess Afghanistan's off the plate now. It's all just back to COVID and whatever Texas is doing. That's all people need to know about, right?
Some concern. The decision to make boosters widely available this September is a bit premature, and that it was made before health experts were able to fully weigh it. So here's my question. What can you tell people who are concerned that the desire to get ahead of the virus has actually put us out in front of the science instead?
Well, first of all, we always lead with science. And let me just reiterate some things for anyone who's expressing a concern. This was a decision made by and announced by the nation's leading public.
We always follow the science, like when Kamala Harris last year said that she wouldn't get the vaccination because it was pushed by Trump. Just to be clear.
Everyone from Dr. Rochelle Walensky, the head of the CDC, Dr. Janet Woodcock, acting FDA commissioner, Dr. Francis Collins, NIH director, and Dr. Fauci, director of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases. They reviewed mountains and mountains of available data on vaccine effectiveness and made a clinical judgment that boosters would be needed and announced a plan to begin them in September, subject, of course, to the FDA and CDC processes to continue. We also know that there needs to be a plan in place to implement these booster shots around the country. But I will tell you that this was a recommendation made by our nation's leading health experts based on mounds and mounds of data. There will still be a final piece of this process that will be seen through, but our responsibility and our objective is to save more lives, protect more people. And as soon as this data, the science made clear that boosters would help do that.
If they wanted to save more lives, they'd be telling people to get out and get more exercise and stop being fat. It's as simple as that.
Wanted to put that information out to the public.
The September 20th date, is that firm, that date to roll out boosters, is that a firm date?
Well, it's based on and pending the final, subject to the final FDA and CDC processes, yes.
And then one on Afghanistan, there's some reporting that we'd like to confirm regarding a call in July.
Oh, here we go.
President Biden and former Afghanistan President Ghani. One, that both leaders appeared completely unaware that the Taliban would take over, and secondly, that they discussed plans to project that Afghan forces were still in control. Is that accurate? Can you tell us a little bit more about that call?
Well, I'm not going to get into private diplomatic conversations or leaked transcripts
Oh, yeah. I'm not going to comment on that. Oh, boy, what an admission.
of phone calls. But what I can reiterate for you is that we have stated many times that no one anticipated, the vast majority, I should say, there may have been individuals and agencies, so I don't want to eliminate that option, but our national
She's setting it up for someone to come out and take the fall.
security team and no one in Congress, or I would say most people out in the public, anticipated that the Taliban would be able to take over the country as quickly as they did, or that the Afghan National Security Forces would fold as quickly as they did. So even the content of the report.
So in other words, she's going along with Biden's lie. You're being asked about a transcript that shows that specifically he knew, he was well aware of the fact that the Taliban had made more progress, was capable of advancing that quickly. He told the nation that it was not possible, so he lied to everyone. By the way, Will Gooding, $50, so thank you. Every time I hear Beijing Biden pronounce the word Taliban as Taliban, it reminds me of that one line from Harry Belafonte's Day of the Banana Boat song, except it's Come Mr. Taliban, Taliban, Tali Mabanana. I sort of get the
is
reference.
consistent with what we've said many times publicly.
No, it's not, Jen.
I'll also note something that the president said in his press conference around the same time of this reported phone call. The Afghan government and leadership has to come together. They clearly have the capacity to sustain the government in place. The question is, will they generate the kind of cohesion to do it? And what the president conveyed publicly and certainly privately as well, repeatedly to Afghan leaders, as did our national security officials, is that it's important that the leaders in Afghanistan do exactly that, lead, and show the country that they are ready to.
So again, it's the Afghan government's fault, even though Biden had full faith and confidence in them, but didn't evacuate people anyway because it would be too scary and too dangerous, which is literally what he said the other day. She's not even on a 24-hour cycle here. She's completely forgotten, I guess, what Biden literally said the other day to the American people.
continue to.
They're just counting on the fact that nobody watches these pressers, so they won't see the obvious glaring contradiction.
Fight against the Taliban, that they have the will for the Afghan National Security Forces to continue that fight, even as our U.S. forces leave.
Did the president at that point in time have some sort of a perception that even the former president of Afghanistan didn't have that confidence in the Afghan forces? Is that why maybe he was pushing Ghani to be more stern and to be more confident?
The president has consistently conveyed, and I just noted an example publicly, that the Afghan leadership at the time needed to do exactly that, lead. They needed to come together in a cohesive manner. They needed to be united. They needed to show the country and the Afghan people.
See, now she's ignoring one really, really important thing, which is that Joe Biden explicitly said a couple of months ago there was almost no chance the Taliban could take over the country. The problem is that was around the same time that he made this phone call with Ghani, trying to say, well, yeah, man, the Taliban may be winning, but please project that that's not actually the case. And he did it for political reasons, not for reasons related to strategy or to Afghanistan in general, just to save his own skin politically. That's what happened.
They were going to fight and they were going to lead through this transition, even as U.S. forces left. That is entirely consistent with what he has said publicly throughout.
Yeah, by the way, it's being pointed out, Robert Gonzalez, she didn't say the transcript was a lie. Yeah, they're not denying it, which means it's real. So I guess the transcript has been confirmed, which means that Beijing Biden knew full well that there were problems there around the same time he was telling people to fucking chill. Don't worry, there's no problem. The Taliban won't take over the country. Everything's fine. The Afghan government's got hundreds of thousands of men and tanks and shit. What can the Taliban do?
Thank you, Jen. One on Afghanistan, one on COVID as well. A few colleagues of mine have determined that there's roughly 17,000 Afghan refugees and military installations in 5 states here as of Tuesday, while another 40,000 remain at bases overseas. Curious, how many of those Afghan evacuees have other countries committed to resettling, or what is the status of those ongoing conversations? And will the U.S. resettle, or otherwise, will the U.S. resettle all of those 40,000 here in the United States?
Well, not to refute the reporting of your colleagues, but just to note, the Secretary of Defense just confirmed it's about 20,000 who have come into the United States at a briefing earlier this afternoon. There is capacity,
and thank you to all those that are still sending super chats. But I have to pay attention to Psaki for juicy details, ways to ridicule her. But Jake Tushak, finally caught you live. Thought I'd have a better first super chat, but I'm kind of blanking on a question. Sending this because you're one of my heroes. Thank you very much for that. Midlife reset. Jab equals no liability versus treatment. Equals liability. Big Pharma, of course, wants the jab instead of treatment. Well, yeah, I mean, they make money off of it, so.
We're working
That's how pharma works.
At our
for better or
military
for worse,
for up to 50,000. And again, this is not a place where people would live. This is a place where people would go. They would receive medical care and assistance and get connected with refugee resettlement organizations that are play a vital role as refugees come to our country from wherever they come around the world. We are also
Jen nervously avoids mentioning the fact that technically under safe third country rules, they're already in safe third countries in many cases. So that technically speaking, they can't be refugees in the United States if they're already in a nation that's willing to take them. But you're not going to hear that from the Biden admin. They want to enslave these poor interpreters.
Working with third countries on what their capacities are.
By the way, why did we have tens of thousands of Afghan interpreters? How many interpreters do you need?
I can't give you an exact breakdown now. It's a very important question, but that's exactly what our Department of Homeland Security, what our diplomatic team will be working through in the coming days. And I'm certain they will be providing updates as we have that established.
I wonder if the people that do the sign language are ever tempted to just randomly start saying fuck, fuck, fuck or something like that, knowing that only the deaf people in the audience will actually know what they're saying because nobody else reads sign language. They could get away with it too. Imagine you just start saying the weirdest shit through sign language and how funny it would be.
Talked about this a little bit, others have as well, but there are, of course, concerns among lawmakers, experts who've tracked this. We're saying previous arrivals of large numbers of refugees from different parts of the world, inevitably there may be a small handful who are eventually deemed a security risk of some kind. What reassurances can you make about the screening process and the attempts to make sure that somebody like that doesn't make his or her way here?
I can
Let me guess. The screening process is extremely rigorous, and as the president already mentioned, blah blah blah.
absolutely assure you that no one is coming into the United States of America who has not been through a thorough screening and background check process. And there are many individuals, as you noted, who have not been through that process, and they have gone to lily pad countries as that process has been completed. It doesn't mean that that's because there's a flag. It means they have not completed their paperwork, and we were working to save tens of thousands of people. Hence, we evacuated them to these third countries.
And then on COVID, is there any
So she gives no assurance whatsoever other than we're screening them. I do believe that failed under the Obama administration at one point.
update on the U.S. decision to keep Europeans and Canadians from visiting the United States? There were a few public messages from ambassadors here in Washington, the EU ambassador, the Polish ambassador, among others, saying the time has come for vaccinated Europeans to be allowed entry into the United States. Our people deserve to be reunited with loved ones and to have the opportunity to visit this great nation. I know this is something a lot of people worry about. Just curious if there's a status report.
Well, we certainly understand that and relate to that and know that people are eager to be reunited with loved ones. And that is something that's impacting many people around the world. I would note that we are right now working across federal agencies to develop a consistent and safe international travel policy. That has obviously been ongoing for some period of time. That includes travel from—
See, this is why I love the fact that I'm a U.S. citizen. The fact that I'm in Europe doesn't keep me from coming back, and I don't need to get vaccinated. So I've got an advantage that very, very few people have when it comes to traveling.
Europe and other countries around the world. And it is one that we want to be equitable. We want it to have standard requirements, so there's clarity, and so there's equity across how we approach it. This will involve, of course, efforts to step up protecting the American people. It may also involve ensuring that over time, foreign nationals coming to the United States are fully vaccinated with limited exceptions. No decisions have been made yet, but that is a process that's on.
An exception will be made for undocumented people at the southern border who are still crammed in border camps, as Kamala Harris, the border czar, refuses to visit them because she thinks it's beneath her.
Going, we certainly understand the interest in it being resolved and completed. Go ahead.
Thanks, Jen. It's been now a couple days since U.S. troops left Afghanistan. I understand you have continued to say the mission will continue to bring people home through diplomatic and other ways. Yesterday, you guys at the White House didn't have an answer on whether any Americans or refugees had made it out. Is there an answer today?
Well, again, this is an operation that's being overseen by our State Department from a diplomatic.
Can she answer one question straightly? This is not even a pointed question. Are there or are there not people still stranded over in Afghanistan? Answer the fucking question. It's yes or no.
Front. They have a briefing today. If there are updates to provide, they will provide them. But what we are working through and what we knew would not necessarily be operational the day after our departure are a couple of steps. One is how we can get the airports operational again. We're working with the Qatari.
You know, like when you get a long-winded like public address or speech by someone, like especially when you're in college or something, like all the students have to gather in the fucking auditorium and listen to some bullshit like wokeness, and they ramble on for an hour and a half, and they've got slides and everything else, and literally nobody's paying attention at any point. Like half the people there are stoned anyway. That's what this reminds me of.
Is the Turks and
It's
others
insufferable.
who are being partners in this effort. The civilian side of the airport had a lot of destruction to it, and we need to make repairs in partnership with them so we can get airports and airplanes, I should say, up and running. That will have a huge impact once that is up and operational. The other piece is overland efforts. Now, some of this is there are steps, as we have seen over the course of the last few weeks, where individual American citizens are able to depart without conveying that they have departed yet. So what we are doing is we are tracking and staying in contact with all of the American citizens we are aware of on what our plans are, what the progress is, and what as we have updates on the timeline for when they can be able to depart.
Is there a sort of a time frame where if there isn't an update from the State Department, there might be a course correction? I asked them today if they had any updated numbers, and nobody's gotten back to me. I understand the briefing's coming up But is there a time frame where you guys will be able to leave since the U.S. forces withdrew, and we're not able to measure that, or we're not able to publicly release that? Is there a plan to do something else so that that movement can happen?
No, there's no plan from the White House because fuck, we don't know what the fuck we're doing. That would be an honest answer.
Well, today is September 1st. We ended our presence in Afghanistan yesterday. There's the diplomatic front. We have more than half of the countries in the world who have agreed that the expectation we are going to press upon the Taliban is that people will be able to freely move, depart the country. There was a UN Security Council resolution signed, or passed, I should say, just 2 days ago. And now we are operationally working on both airplanes so that can depart, or getting the airport up and operational, and overland departures. At the same time, we are in touch with every American citizen we have contact with about our efforts and our commitment to get them out of the country. I'm not sure what a course correction would look like. That is what our efforts are at this point in time.
A course correction would look like we kick Biden and Kamala and all these others out and Trump's back in office. Notice she has not yet answered a single question straightly, including very, very obvious ones.
36 hours after or just about 2 days after our last planes depart.
And we're hearing about some journalists who were left behind. Fox confirmed that a number of journalists working for U.S. Agency for Global Media, federally funded agency from Congress, including Radio Free Europe and Radio Liberty journalists, were left behind. And we're now also hearing from some senior State Department officials who were available to so many that they were instantly ubiquitous, that those priority groups could not get through. Was that a contingency that was planned for?
Well, Jackie, I think it's important to remember, again, 120,000 people made it out of the airport and out of the country. And our commitment to people who want to evacuate, want to leave, American citizens, journalists, Afghan partners who have stood by our side, is enduring and remains. I know there's been some reporting on this.
She does the vocal fry thing too. Afghans.
So let me give you just a couple of examples, because now we can talk about this, of some of the ways that we work to get American citizens out. One, the most used method was the muster point, or what we called the muster point. The state to bus them into the airport in convoys or escort people on foot. We offered multiple opportunities for each of these muster points at various times, each with multiple transits to the airport. The majority of American citizens who got out were evacuated exactly this way. We also talked people through one-on-one walking into the airport with State Department officials on the phone, on the other, effective at resolving problems on the ground, one by one, in challenging environments. In limited cases, and some of this was reported, where people were trapped or in immediate danger, U.S. security forces.
I'm like sitting here jiggling my fucking leg and stuff like that. Like, this is worse than going back to high school, actually, having to listen to Jen Psaki. It's not like she's answering any questions. She's just dancing around them and saying whatever shit happens to come to mind. I half expect she's just going to go crazy one day. She's like, I'm going to quit anyway. And she just starts talking about like Bozo the Clown. My favorite vegetable is the turnip. Yeah.
Went beyond the wire, sometimes even a helicopter to pick people up safely. We didn't talk about these much, these helo hops at the time, because they were dangerous missions. We wanted to make the expectation that we'd be sending a helicopter for everyone who wanted to leave Afghanistan. So I note those because I think it's important to understand the steps and the roles that our U.S. military on the ground took, far beyond just checking people off on a list at the gate, to ensure we could get American citizens, our Afghan partners, and others out. And we will continue those efforts through the means I just
Ghani, I just want to put
going to go into.
Oh yeah, there's a good Will Gooding. Sticks, did you hear about the phone Biden had with the president of Afghanistan right before the crap hit the fan? Check it out. Yes, actually, there was a question about that about 10 minutes ago, and she circled around, of course, and wouldn't comment on it. Oh yeah, well, Biden said this, Biden said that. Oh, we thought the Afghans would fight. Yeah, she tries to shift the goalposts, actually, and say, well, Biden was just, forget what Biden actually said. What he meant, essentially, is what she's saying, is that he was hoping that they would get it together and fight, but they didn't. And so they had the equipment, they had everything, just like Joe thought in the phone call, but ignore it. Don't ask any other questions about it, please.
Details of a private conversation. But what we saw over the course of the last few months is a collapse in leadership. And that was happening even before Ghani left the country. What the president has conveyed repeatedly, privately, and publicly is you need to stand up and lead your country. And that's something.
But remember everyone, this is a lie. That's not what Biden said. He said it was extremely unlikely the Taliban would take over the country, and expressed nothing but confidence in the Afghan forces up until the Afghan forces fled. By the way, Haywood giving me $49.99. Thank you very much. A couple other here. Opinionated junkie. Yes, 120,000 people were evacuated. However, the evacuation wouldn't have been a problem if the deal was followed through and people got out ahead of time. True. But Biden said it was too dangerous to get them out, even though he privately, well, he actually believed that, but publicly stated that everything was fine. Christopher DeBow, the media actually does some pretty good reporting on the state of Afghanistan, providing you filter your search from 2018 to 2020. This was expected. Yeah, we've noticed that. There's definitely a difference in reporting these days.
He said at a press conference in July in public forum as well. Go ahead.
Okay. By my math, we're just shy of 48 hours since the
Thank you for your math. It's all running together.
Leaving Afghanistan. We've learned a lot more just in the last few hours about the nature of the cooperation we saw over the last 2.5 weeks between the Taliban and the American forces on the ground. I wonder if you could speak to whether since in the last 48 hours there has been any continued.
Again, this would be an effort that would be overseen underneath the leadership of the Secretary.
Did they just cut his mic?
It will be necessary to have some form of communication and coordination with the Taliban to continue to evacuate people from the country. They oversee Afghanistan, the majority of large swaths of the country. I will note that we had prior conversations or methods of engagement even before the last couple of weeks. So it's obviously a different form at this point in time that will continue. That's part of what the president asked the Secretary of State and the State Department to pursue.
Here's Quisette V, such a hypocrite to take all that sweet super chat gravy while telling us Mike Lindell is evil for trying to sell a pillow. Your dump in the punch bowl moment. No, what Mike Lindell's problem is that he told you that he was going to present irrefutable proof of election shenanigans and that Trump would be back in office right now. Well, he's not. Well, there you go. Because Lindell is a grifter.
And obviously the chief of staff last night said, I don't know if we will ever recognize their government as a legitimate government of Afghanistan. You've talked a lot about the points of leverage that the U.S. holds over the Taliban. Is that one of the points of leverage recognized in the Taliban? Is that something that's even under consideration?
There's no rush to recognition from the United States or any country we've spoken with around the world. It will be very dependent on their behavior and whether they deliver on what the expectations are of the global community.
And then quickly on abortion, we've seen in a number of states, Republican-led states, an effort on voting rights, for instance, to pass similar legislation throughout the country on voting rights. What's the level of concern at the White House that the decision on Texas specifically will lead to a similar raft of laws across the country? And what is the recourse for the White House at a federal level to help prevent this?
Well, the step that can be taken is the codification of Roe, something the president, the vice president have called for and would require Congress to act on. I will note that certainly we've seen, this is not the first threat to Roe we've seen in a state across the country. It's an extreme threat. And again, I would just note.
It's an extreme threat that the elections would be defortified. After all, we might not get 80 million ice cream votes the next time. Oh boy, that'd be terrible.
This is offering up to $10,000 to individuals who were.
See, but now she's pivoting back to the abortion thing as opposed to, he mentioned voting rights explicitly.
Someone who is going to get an abortion. I mean, that is what we're talking about here. So, and beyond that, as I've already outlined. So yes, of course, it's of great concern. And of course, it's of great concern because this is not the first time that there have been efforts by some in the country to prevent a woman from having the right to choose. Go ahead.
And the funny thing is, believe it or not, I actually, not only am I pro-choice, but I would side more with people even to the left of the Biden admin potentially on that issue. Biden was actually anti-abortion for years. It's very funny that he pretends now all of a sudden to be like some sort of warrior for the pro-choice movement or something like that. Christopher DeBow, do you think Joe has sniffed Psaki yet? If not, why not? Oh, I'm sure he has. She's half his age and female. Wowzer's Edge. Hey, Sticks, thanks for your hard work, buddy. Will you do a Timcast or Joe Rogan-like podcast someday? Maybe. I could do a podcast sort of thing.
Quick follow-up on the discussion about leverage.
I'm only going to let her get through one more, and then I'm going to end it because we're going up close to 3 hours now, And I don't have the patience to deal with the stream of lies from someone like Jen Psaki. I just can't stand it. And most of you probably can't either, so.
There's no concern here at the White House that China could actively try to undermine the U.S. leverage that it has with the Taliban, particularly providing the kind of access to the global marketplace you talked about yesterday?
Well, first, I would say that China doesn't have that capacity on their own, and that there are more than 100 countries, a UN Security Council resolution China did abstain from, but they didn't vote against, that calls on, presses the Taliban to allow for safe passage of people in the country than those who want to leave Afghanistan. So, China is going to have to think about what role they want to be seen as in the world in this moment as well.
I'm sure that China is very, very intimidated by that statement. I'm sure they really care about the UN resolution that they'll completely ignore. John Hoyle, do you think we'll get into a ground war under this or Harris administration? Possibly. But these days, war tends not to be on the ground anyway. I mean, the war in Afghanistan's not over. It's just turned into a drone war. So anyway, I mean, she's just going to continue non-answering things. She was almost 2 hours late. I don't have the stamina to go on to a third hour of listening to Jen Psaki. I'm sorry. In the future, the hope is that the White House gets its fucking schedule straight. And we'll click that out. Gets its schedule straight so that things are kind of on time. Because I would like to supply, meaningful ridiculing commentary, but, I'm sort of reliant upon them to actually schedule things. They pushed it back 90 minutes. And then she was still almost a half an hour late. So at some point you got other things to do. Like I want to read Lake Monster Traditions. I want to have a snack, go take a piss or something like that. And unlike the Amazing Atheist, of course, I won't, shit and pee and do weird shit on stream because, I've got standards. So. But anyway, yeah, that was Jen Psaki for a while, lying over and over and over again and refusing to answer questions. That part's not the surprise. The surprise was, hey, yeah, usually I'm a half hour late or something. Yeah, today it was almost 2 hours. So, fuck yourselves. By the way, I'm not going to actually comment about the literal biggest news of the day, which is the call between Biden and Ghani completely undermining everything he fucking said with regards to what he told the American people about the readiness of Afghan troops. That doesn't matter. And then she only gets a couple of tacit questions about that, won't even answer them. These are softballs from the legacy media. These are people from like MSNBC and the New York Times and stuff like that. So, pathetic. Absolutely pathetic. One last super chat. EpicMan004. Eat Twizzlers with your mouth open. Viewers love it. Yeah, weird. I'm not going for an ASMR mukbang channel, so that's about all. Peace out.